Hey guys, tonight we're standing at the edge of a warm pile of fresh laundry, straight from the dryer, that particular kind of domestic moment that feels so mundane you barely notice it's happening, and yet your brain is doing something extraordinary in these moments, something that matters far more than you might think, something that connects you to every human who's ever performed a repetitive task while their mind wandered somewhere else entirely. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you're rewatching from and what time it is. I love seeing where these stories find you. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. There's a pile of laundry in front of you. It's warm, slightly damp, smelling of detergent and fabric softener, radiating that particular coziness that only fresh laundry possesses. You reach in and pull out the first item, maybe a t-shirt, maybe a towel, maybe a pair of socks that definitely don't match. And as your hands begin the familiar motions of folding, smoothing, stacking, something happens in your brain that's been happening since humans first had clothing to care for. Since we first performed repetitive domestic tasks that required our hands, but not our full attention, your mind wanders. And in that wandering, something remarkable occurs. Some psychologists argue that these moments of mundane task performance, folding laundry, washing dishes, mowing the lawn, any activity that is routine enough to be automatic, but engaging enough to keep you present, create optimal conditions for what they call productive mind wandering. Your conscious attention is lightly occupied with the physical task, preventing total mental drift. But your deeper cognitive systems are free to do their most important work: processing, integrating, problem solving, creating. Here's a curious thing about the human brain. It's terrible at rest. When neuroscientists put people in brain scanners and tell them to think about nothing, to rest their minds, what they discover is that the brain becomes extraordinarily active. It doesn't rest, right? It redirects its activity inward, engaging what is called the default mode network, constellation of brain regions that activate when we're not focused on the external world, when we're daydreaming, remembering, imagining, making sense of our lives. The default mode network is where meaning making happens. It's where you process emotional experiences, consolidate memories, plan for the future, construct your sense of self. It's where creativity emerges, where insights arise, where the disconnected pieces of your experience get woven into coherent narrative. And it activates most powerfully during activities like folding laundry tasks that occupy your hands and just enough of your attention to keep you anchored, but free your deeper mind to wander. You pull out a towel, warm and fluffy, and begin the familiar choreography of folding. Your hands know what to do without conscious instruction. Fold in half lengthwise, then in thirds, smooth the edges, stack it with the others. You've folded thousands of towels in your life. Your hands have the pattern memorized, encoded in what's called procedural memory, the kind of memory that doesn't require conscious recall, that lives in your muscles and motor cortex, that executes automatically while your conscious mind is elsewhere, and your mind is elsewhere. Even as you fold, even as your hands move through their practiced motions, your thoughts are drifting. Maybe to a conversation you had earlier, replaying it, analyzing it, understanding it more deeply now that you have distance from the moment. Maybe to a problem you've been wrestling with, approaching it from new angles, finding connections you couldn't see when you were actively trying to solve it. Maybe to nothing in particular, just floating, observing, existing in that gentle state of unfocused awareness that feels like doing nothing, but is actually your brain's most sophisticated mode of operation. Some neuroscientists study what happens during these mundane tasks and find that the brain enters a state remarkably similar to meditation. Your attention is present, but soft, engaged, but not strained, aware, but not effortful. The rhythmic, repetitive nature of the task: fold, smooth, stack, fold, smooth, stack, creates a kind of moving meditation, a mindfulness practice disguised as household chore. Your breath naturally synchronizes with the rhythm of your hands. Your shoulders drop, your jaw unclenches. Your whole nervous system downregulates, entering that parasympathetic state associated with rest, recovery, and restoration. Here's a curious thing about boredom in mundane tasks. We've culturally coded them as negative, as time-wasting, as things to be avoided or rushed through. We apologize for being stuck doing laundry or dishes, as if these tasks are punishments rather than opportunities. But your brain doesn't experience them that way. Your brain recognizes these moments as gifts, permission to rest while remaining engaged, freedom to wander while staying grounded, time to process without the pressure of active problem solving. You pull out a shirt, shake it slightly to release wrinkles, lay it flat on your folding surface. The fabric is still warm from the dryer, retaining heat in a way that's oddly comforting, almost alive. You fold the sleeves inward, fold the body in half, then in thirds, creating a neat rectangle that will fit in a drawer. The task is so simple, it feels meaningless, and yet there's satisfaction in it. The transformation of chaos, a pile of warm, tangled laundry, into order stacks of folded clothing, the completion of a small cycle in the endless loop of domestic maintenance. Your thoughts, while folding, are rarely about the laundry itself. They're about everything else. Your relationships, your work, your dreams, your regrets, your hopes, your memories, your future. The laundry is just the anchor, the physical task that keeps you from completely dissociating while allowing your mind the freedom it needs to roam. It's like the needle of a record player, staying in the groove while the music plays. The physical task keeps you grounded while your consciousness explores vast internal landscapes. Some cognitive scientists study what they call task and related thought, thinking about things other than what you're currently doing. They've found that this kind of thought isn't a distraction or a failure of attention. It's a crucial cognitive function. Your mind needs time to process information that isn't immediately task relevant, to make connections between disparate experiences, to plan and imagine and remember. Mundane tasks provide perfect conditions for this processing. You're engaged enough to prevent anxiety or boredom, but free enough to let deeper cognitive processes operate. You find a pair of socks. Finally, they've been hiding in a tangle of clothes, playing their eternal game of sock hide-and-seek. You match them, fold them together in whatever method you use, fold over each other, roll into a ball, tuck one into the other. This microsex, this tiny completion of a small task within the larger task, triggers a small hit of dopamine. Your brain's reward system activates, not in any major way, but just enough to create a subtle sense of satisfaction, of progress, of things being accomplished. This is the hidden architecture of motivation, not just the big goals and major achievements, but these tiny completions, these micro-satisfactions that accumulate throughout your day, telling your brain we're doing okay, we're making progress, we're managing life successfully. Folding laundry provides dozens of these small rewards, each item folded, each stack completed, each category finished. Your brain is being subtly reinforced for task completion. It's building momentum, creating positive emotional tone, even in the midst of the mundane. Here's a curious thing about repetitive tasks and anxiety. They're actually therapeutic. Many therapists recommend activities like folding laundry, washing dishes, or knitting to anxious patients, because the rhythmic, repetitive movements activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Calm racing thoughts ground you in the present moment. It's bilateral stimulation, both hands working in coordination, which has been shown to have calming effects. It's possibly because it engages both hemispheres of the brain, creating integration and balance. You're folding a pair of jeans now, the denim stiff and heavy, requiring more effort than the lighter items. You smooth the legs flat, align the seams, fold with attention to getting the creases right. The physical resistance of the fabric requires slightly more muscle engagement, slightly more coordination, but not so much that it pulls you out of your mental wandering. You're still thinking about that conversation, or that problem, or nothing in particular, while your hands competently manage the gene folding process. Your mind has probably generated several thoughts by now that you'll never consciously notice or remember. Fleeting associations, brief memories, half-formed ideas, they arise and dissolve like bubbles in a stream, most of them never reaching the threshold of conscious awareness. But they're not wasted. Each thought, even the ones you don't consciously register, contributes to the larger process of your brain organizing itself, making sense of experience, preparing for future challenges. Some researchers study what happens in the brain during these moments of unfocused attention and find increased connectivity between different brain networks. The default mode network, communicating with the executive control network, the salience network, coordinating with emotional processing regions. It's like different departments of your brain are having meetings, sharing information, coordinating responses. It's all while you fold laundry and think about nothing in particular. And this is why folding laundry matters. Why these mundane moments aren't wasted time, but essential time. Why your brain needs these pockets of routine activities scattered throughout your day. Not despite their ordinariness, but because of it. The mundane is where the mind heals, processes, grows, and you breathe, folding consciousness with each careful crease. Your hands have their own intelligence, their own memory, their own way of knowing the world. As you continue folding, pulling items one by one from the pile, your hands execute complex sequences of movements without requiring conscious oversight. They know how to fold a fitted sheet, sort of, how to match socks, how to smooth wrinkles, all without your conscious mind needing to direct every movement. This is procedural memory at work, the kind of knowing that lives in your body rather than your conscious awareness. You learned to fold laundry years ago, probably decades ago, and that learning is now so deeply encoded in your motor cortex and cerebellum that it's become automatic. Your hands fold while your mind wanders, creating a beautiful division of labor between different aspects of your consciousness. Some neuroscientists study procedural learning and find that it uses completely different brain systems than declarative learning, the kind of learning where you consciously remember facts or events. Procedural memories are stored in regions like the basal ganglia and cerebellum, areas associated with motor control and habit formation. Once a skill is learned procedurally, it's remarkably resistant to forgetting. You can go years without folding laundry, theoretically, and your hands will still remember how when you return to the task. Here's a curious thing about skilled movement. The better you get at something, the less conscious attention it requires. Novices folding laundry need to think about each step, monitor each movement, correct errors actively. But experienced folders, which is everyone who's been doing their own laundry for any length of time, can execute the entire sequence automatically, freeing cognitive resources for other processing. You're folding a button-down shirt now, slightly more complex than a t-shirt, requiring you to button a few buttons to keep it stable, align collar and shoulders, fold sleeves with attention to keeping them flat. But even this added complexity doesn't really require conscious thought. Your hands know what to do. They've done this hundreds or thousands of times. The pattern is deeply grooved into your motor memory. This automaticity is precisely what makes laundry folding such a perfect activity for mind wandering. If the task required constant conscious attention, you couldn't think about other things while doing it. But because it's automatic, because your hands can manage without supervision, your conscious mind is freed. You're performing a sophisticated motor task while simultaneously engaging in complex cognitive processing about completely unrelated matters. Your brain is multitasking in the most elegant way possible. Some cognitive scientists argue that this kind of divided attention isn't really divided at all. It's more like your consciousness operating on multiple levels simultaneously. The lower level processes, motor control, basic sensory processing, routine decision-making, run automatically without requiring conscious resources. The higher level processes, abstract thinking, planning, emotional processing, meaning-making, operate with the freed-up resources, doing their essential work without interference from the need to control basic motor functions. Okay, your hands are warm now, heated by the warm laundry you've been handling. There's something deeply satisfying about this warmth, this physical sensation that roots you in the present moment, even while your mind roams through time, memory, imagination. The warmth is grounding, comforting, a subtle reminder that you have a body, that you're here, that despite wherever your thoughts might wander, you're anchored in this physical moment of folding clothes in your home. Here is a curious thing about temperature and consciousness. Warm hands are associated with reduced stress and increased feelings of comfort and safety. There's even research suggesting that physical warmth can influence social judgments and behaviors. People holding warm objects tend to be more trusting, more generous, more socially open. So these warm clothes you're folding are subtly influencing your psychological state, making you slightly more relaxed, slightly more open, slightly more at ease. You pull out another towel, and as you fold it, you notice the texture, soft, fluffy, the kind of softness that comes from fabric softener and fluff dry cycles. Your hands register this texture without your conscious mind needing to analyze it. Touch receptors in your skin send signals to your somatosensory cortex, which processes the information, registers soft towel, and files it away without requiring conscious attention. Your brain is constantly processing sensory information without bothering your consciousness with most of it. This unconscious sensory processing is crucial for allowing consciousness to operate efficiently. If you had to consciously attend to every sensory input, the feeling of each piece of laundry, the sound of fabric rustling, the smell of detergent, the temperature of the room, the pressure of your feet on the floor, you'd be overwhelmed. So your brain filters ruthlessly, bringing to conscious awareness only what's novel, important, or problematic. Everything else gets processed unconsciously, informing your state without occupying your attention. Your hands have found their rhythm now, a steady tempo of picking up, shaking out, folding, stacking. This rhythm is not consciously chosen. It emerges naturally from the interaction between task demands and your motor system's preferences. There's an optimal pace for folding laundry, fast enough to feel like progress, but not so fast that quality suffers. And your hands naturally settle into this pace without you deciding it. Some researchers study rhythm and motor control and find that humans naturally entrain to rhythms, synchronizing our movements to internal or external beats. Okay? When you fold laundry, you're creating a rhythm, and that rhythm influences your entire physiology. Your breath tends to synchronize with your hand movements. Your heart rate may subtly adjust to the tempo. Your brain waves may shift toward patterns associated with relaxed focus. Hey, you're not just folding laundry. Hey, you're conducting a subtle orchestra of physiological processes. You find yourself humming quietly, or maybe you're not humming, but you notice you're breathing in a pattern that matches your folding rhythm. This is embodiment, the way your physical actions influence and become integrated with your mental state. You're not a mind operating a body, doing laundry while thinking about other things. You're a unified organism, physical and mental processes intertwined, each influencing the other, creating a holistic experience that can't be neatly divided into body versus mind. Here's a curious thing about skilled, repetitive actions and their psychological effects. They're meditative in the truest sense. Meditation traditions often focus on repetitive actions. Walking meditation, breathing meditation, even work meditation in Zen traditions, where monks perform routine tasks mindfully. Folding laundry is accidentally, informally meditative. You're engaged in repetitive action, grounded in the present moment. Aware, but not overthinking, existing in a state that meditation teachers spend years training people to access. Your hands ache slightly, perhaps a subtle soreness from the repetitive movements, the constant folding and smoothing. But it's not unpleasant soreness. It's the good ache of engagement, of work being done, a body being used. Your hands are designed for this kind of work, the intricate manipulation of objects, the fine motor control, the sustained but not excessive effort. This is what hands evolved to do, and there's deep satisfaction in using them for their intended purpose. And as your hands work, memory of other times you folded laundry might surface. Maybe remembering folding laundry as a child, learning from a parent. Maybe remembering folding tiny baby clothes when your own children were small. Maybe remembering folding laundry in a different home, a different life phase. The task is the same across decades, and touching these familiar fabrics, executing these familiar movements, can trigger cascades of memory, bringing past selves into dialogue with present self, and you breathe. Your hands moving through memory as much as through fabric. Each item you pull from the pile tells a story. That t-shirt from a concert you attended 5 years ago. Those socks with the hole you keep meaning to throw out, but haven't. The worn hoodie that's more comfort object than clothing. As you fold, you're not just organizing fabric, okay? You're handling pieces of your life. Each item a small artifact of who you are and how you've lived. Hey, this t-shirt is soft from countless washings. The graphic on the front faded and cracked. You remember buying it. Remember wearing it during a specific period of your life. Remember how it felt to be that version of yourself who chose this shirt, who wore it repeatedly, who made it part of their identity rotation. Clothing holds memory in ways that are both literal. The fabric remembers being worn, stretched, washed, and metaphorical. You remember the life you lived while wearing it. Some anthropologists study material culture and find that the objects we surround ourselves with, especially clothing, which literally touches our bodies, become extensions of self, markers of identity, memory anchors. You're not just folding laundry, you're curating a textile autobiography. Each item a chapter, each fold a way of organizing your material history. Here's a curious thing about clothing and memory. Scent is often the trigger. That shirt might smell faintly of your perfume or cologne, or of the specific detergent you use, and these scents are powerfully connected to memory systems in your brain. The olfactory bulb connects directly to the hippocampus and amygdala, memory and emotion centers, which is why smell-triggered memories feel so visceral, so immediate, so emotional. You fold a pair of jeans, heavy and familiar. These jeans have been with you for years, molded to your body, faded in the exact pattern of how you wear them, soft in the places that get the most wear. There's something deeply personal about worn jeans. They read like a sculpture of your body and habits, shaped by you through repeated use. Folding them feels different from folding new jeans. It's carry history, personality, the physical record of being lived in. The psychology of favorite clothing is fascinating. Why do certain items become favorites while others, perhaps objectively similar, remain just clothes? It's partly comfort, partly association. You wore it during good times, so it becomes linked to positive emotions, partly the way it makes you feel about yourself. Your favorite hoodie isn't just fabric, it's a feeling, an identity statement, a piece of armor against the world's demands. You're folding socks now, the eternal task within a task. Matching socks is its own meditation, requiring just enough attention to prevent your mind from wandering too far. You need to find matches, which requires visual processing and memory, but not so much that you could unstill think about other things. It's the perfect level of engagement, what psychologists call optimal cognitive load. Challenging enough to be engaging, easy enough to be automatic. Some researchers study the missing sock phenomenon, and various theories have been proposed. Socks getting stuck in washing machines, static electricity causing them to cling to other items, the universal tendency for small objects to disappear. But missing socks also serve a function. They're a small, safe source of frustration, a minor chaos in otherwise ordered domestic life. Finding a matched pair provides micro-satisfaction. Accepting an unpaired sock provides practice in letting go of perfect order. Here's the curious thing about completion and satisfaction. Your brain releases small amounts of dopamine when you complete tasks, even tiny ones like matching a pair of socks. This is why folding laundry, despite being mundane, can actually improve mood. You're giving yourself dozens of tiny completions, dozens of small successes, accumulating evidence that you're capable, that you can finish what you start, that you can create order from chaos. You pull out a sheet, the flat sheet, easy enough, straightforward rectangle. Fold it in half, then in half again, maybe once more, depending on how you like your sheets stored. Sheets are satisfying to fold because they're large, because their completion is visible, because transforming this vast piece of fabric into a neat, folded rectangle feels like a disproportionate achievement. Your brain appreciates visible progress, and sheets provide that. But then comes the fitted sheet. It's the eternal nemesis of laundry folders everywhere. Those elastic corners that never want to lie flat, that resist all attempts at neat folding, that seem designed by someone who hated domestic order. You do your best, folding the corners into each other, or maybe giving up entirely and just wadding it into a ball. Accepting that some things resist organization, and that's okay. The fitted sheet is a teacher. It teaches acceptance of imperfection, teaches that not everything can or needs to be perfectly ordered, teaches that sometimes good enough is actually good enough. Your brain, encountering this small resistance to its ordering efforts, has a choice: get frustrated or accept. And usually, by the time you're deep into folding laundry, you're in that relaxed state where acceptance comes easily. Some psychologists study perfectionism and find that people who can tolerate small imperfections, like imperfectly folded fitted sheets, tend to have better mental health than those who demand perfection in all things. Laundry is therapy in this sense. It gives you practice in accepting good enough, in recognizing that perfectly folded, fitted sheets don't actually matter, that your sheets will work fine whether folded perfectly or wadded in a ball. You're folding dish towels now, small and quick, easy wins. Each one takes maybe 5 seconds. Shake, fold in half again, stack. The rapid succession of completions feels good, accelerates your folding rhythm, creates momentum. This is task design at work. Interspersing easy tasks with harder ones maintains engagement, prevents frustration, keeps you in flow state. Here's a curious thing about the order in which you fold. You probably have a pattern, even if you've never consciously decided on one. Maybe you do all the same items together, all shirts, then all pants, then all socks. Maybe you fold whatever you grab next. Maybe you save the worst fitted sheets for last, or do them first to get them over with. This pattern reflects your personality, your problem-solving style, your relationship with task completion. The clothes are becoming stacks now. Shirts in one pile, pants in another, towels in their own stack. Order is emerging from the chaos of the original pile. You're creating categories, sorting, organizing, bringing structure to the formless. This is deeply satisfying to human brains, which are essentially pattern recognition and category creation machines. See chaos and instinctively want to sort it, organize it, make sense of it. Some cognitive scientists study categorization and find it as one of the most fundamental cognitive operations. How you divide the rails into categories determines how you think about and interact with the world. Even something as simple as sorting laundry exercises and reinforces these categorization abilities, keeps your cognitive systems working, maintains the mental flexibility that comes from actively organizing information. And as you sort and fold and stack, your mind continues its parallel processing, thinking about your day, your life, your concerns and hopes and memories, all while your hands competently manage the physical task. You're living proof that human consciousness is beautifully complex, capable of operating on multiple levels simultaneously, thinking about everything while appearing to think about nothing. And you breathe, sorting life as you sort fabric. There's a hidden mathematics to folding laundry. It's patterns and proportions and unconscious calculations your brain performs without announcing them to your consciousness. How many towels fit in a stack before it becomes unstable? What's the optimal fold pattern for a t-shirt to minimize wrinkles while maximizing drawer space? How much time has passed, estimated not by clock, but by the diminishing pile. Your brain is constantly calculating, measuring, estimating, even during tasks as simple as folding clothes. The visual cortex assesses sizes and shapes. The motor cortex calculates angles and pressures for optimal folding. The parietal lobe handles spatial reasoning. Will this stack fit in that drawer? Your entire brain is engaged in subtle mathematics, none of which reaches conscious awareness unless something goes wrong. Some neuroscientists study spatial reasoning during everyday tasks and find that the brain regions involved overlap significantly with those used in formal mathematics. When you fold a shirt to fit in a drawer, you're essentially solving geometry problems, calculating areas, estimating volumes, planning spatial arrangements, You're doing math without knowing you're doing math. Care is a curious thing about unconscious competence. You're extraordinarily skilled at tasks you've never formally learned. No one taught you the precise pressure to apply when smoothing wrinkles, the exact angle at which to fold corners to achieve neat edges, the optimal stacking strategy for stable piles. You figured this out through trial and error, thousands of repetitions. Your brain gradually optimizing the process through feedback and adjustment. You're folding a stack of washcloths now, small squares that fold quickly and satisfyingly. Each one is nearly identical to the last, creating a rhythm: grab, shake, fold, fold, stack, grab, shake, fold, fold, stack. The repetition is meditative, almost hypnotic, and your brain is tracking the pattern, finding pleasure in the predictability, the consistency, the reliable completion of each small cycle. Repetition is actually cognitively important. It's how procedural memories form, how skills become automatic, how your brain learns what to expect and how to respond efficiently. Every time you repeat an action, you strengthen neural pathways associated with that action, making it easier, faster, more automatic next time. Folding laundry is neural network training disguised as housework. Some researchers study what they call cognitive load theory and find that humans have limited conscious attention but vast unconscious processing capacity. Tasks like laundry folding use minimal conscious resources because they're so automatic, while allowing unconscious processing to operate at full capacity. This is why mundane tasks are actually ideal for problem solving. Your conscious mind is untenable, interfering with your unconscious mind's ability to work. You're estimating time now, not by looking at a clock, but by the pile size. About halfway through, maybe 40%. Time becomes concrete when measured in tasks completed, rather than minutes elapsed. This is task-based time perception, and it's actually more accurate than you might think. Your brain has tracked how long previous laundry sessions took and can estimate current progress based on pile size. Here is a curious thing about time and tasks. Time feels faster when you're remeasuring it by completion rather than by clock watching. An hour of folding laundry where you never check the time feels shorter than an hour where you check constantly. Your brain processes time differently depending on how you're measuring it. Task time versus clock time, completion time versus duration time. You find yourself sorting by color without consciously deciding to all the white items together, dark items in another pile, colors in another. This categorization happens automatically, your visual system registering colors and your brain automatically grouping similar items. You've just performed a sorting algorithm without thinking about it. It's demonstrating the computational power of unconscious cognition. The mathematics extends to predictions. How many more minutes until you're done? Will all these clothes fit in the basket? Should you start a new load now or wait? These aren't just practical questions, They're optimization problems, resource allocation puzzles, time management calculations. Your brain does operations research while you fold underwear. Some economists study household labor and find that people develop surprisingly sophisticated strategies for task efficiency, often unconsciously. The order you fold items, the way you organize stacks, the method you use to transport folded clothes to their storage locations, all of these have been unconsciously optimized through repeated experience. You're more efficient than you realize. You're building a stack that's leaning slightly. Your brain registers the imbalance through visual processing and immediately calculates corrections. Which items need to go where to restore stability? What angle of lean is acceptable versus problematic when intervention is required versus when the stack will self-correct? You adjust without consciously deciding to adjust. Your motor system responding to visual feedback automatically. This kind of automatic error correction is happening constantly in all skilled movements. Your brain predicts what should happen, stack should be stable. Monitors what is happening, stack is leaning. Calculates difference, error, and issues. Correction commands, adjust placement, all in fractions of seconds, all without conscious oversight. You're running sophisticated feedback loops while thinking about what to make for dinner. Here's a curious thing about expertise in conscious awareness. Experts are often worse at explaining what they do than novices are. Novices think consciously about each step. Experts operate on automatic. Ask an expert folder to explain exactly how they fold a fitted sheet, and they might struggle to articulate it, because the knowledge is procedural rather than declarative, living in motor programs rather than verbal explanations. Your pile is shrinking noticeably now. Visible progress is motivating. Seeing tangible results of your labor reinforces continued effort, triggers satisfaction, provides evidence that time invested is yielding returns. This is one reason why tasks with visible progress, like folding laundry, feel more satisfying than tasks with invisible progress, like thinking about a problem. Your brain likes to see results. And as the mathematics continues, the spatial calculations, the time estimates, the efficiency optimizations, the error corrections, your conscious mind remains free to wander, to think, to process, to simply be. The genius of mundane tasks is that they occupy your hands and just enough cognitive resources to keep you grounded while freeing the rest of your mental capacity for its essential work. And you breathe, calculating comfort with unconscious precision. As you fold, something else is happening. You're talking to yourself. Not out loud probably, but internally, a constant stream of thoughts that constitutes your inner voice, your internal narrative, the voice that comments on your experience and plans your next moves and remembers your past and worries about your future. This inner voice is so constant, you probably don't even notice it anymore. It's the background music of consciousness, always playing, always commenting, always there. But during mundane tasks like laundry folding, when external demands are minimal, this voice becomes more noticeable, more prominent, sometimes more interesting than the task itself. Some psychologists study inner speech and find it as not just one thing, but many things. You use inner speech for planning after this. I need to, for memory. Where did I put? For motivation? Come on, just a few more. Self-regulation, don't forget to. For meaning making, this reminds me of. Your inner voice is your interface with your own mind. Here's a curious thing. Not everyone has the same kind of inner speech. Some people have constant verbal narration. Others have more visual thinking, images rather than words. Some have music. Some have almost no inner speech at all. But most people, during most of their waking hours, have some version of this internal dialogue going, especially during routine tasks. You're folding and thinking, I should really get rid of this shirt. I never wear it anymore. But it was a gift from I can't throw it away. Maybe I'll donate it. When was the last time I went through my closet? I need to organize better. But when do I have time for that? There's always so much to do. I should make a list. Actually, where did I put that list I made last week? This is the texture of normal human thought. Associative, jumping from topic to topic, rarely staying focused on one thing for long. It's not a failure of attention. It's how minds work when they're not being forced into sustained focus. This is natural mind wandering, and it serves important functions. even though it might seem random. Some cognitive scientists study mind wandering and distinguish between different types. Task and related thought is thinking about things not related to what you're currently doing. Spontaneous thought is thinking that arises without intentional direction. Stimulus-independent thought is thinking that's not triggered by immediate environment. Your brain does all of these while you fold. You're remembering something now, maybe a conversation from earlier today, replaying it, analyzing it, thinking about what you said and what they said and what you should have said. This is rehearsal and consolidation. Your brain is processing social information, learning from interaction, updating its models of relationships and communication. This processing happens best when you're not trying to force it, when you're doing something else entirely with your hands. Here is a curious thing about memory and mind wandering. Your brain often rehearses and consolidates memories during mundane tasks. The hippocampus, which is crucial for memory formation, shows increased activity during rest and routine tasks. It's replaying experiences, strengthening important connections, deciding what to keep and what to let fade. Your brain is doing essential filing work while you fold literal files of fabric. You shift to planning now, thinking about tomorrow, about next week, about things you need to do and people you need to contact and problems you need to solve. Planning is one of the primary functions of mind wandering. Your prefrontal cortex is simulating possible futures, running scenarios, preparing responses, essentially time traveling mentally to prepare you for what's coming. Some neuroscientists study some perspective thinking and find it activates many of the same brain regions as remembering the past. This makes sense. To imagine the future, you need to recombine elements from past experience. Your brain is constantly running simulations. If this happens, then I'll do this. If that happens, then I'll do that. These simulations prepare you, reduce uncertainty, increase sense of control. But then your thoughts drift again, maybe to something you're worried about, something that's been nagging at you, some problem you haven't solved. And here's where the magic of laundry folding comes in, because you're not actively trying to solve the problem because you're conscious. Mind is lightly occupied with folding. Your unconscious mind has space to work on the problem without interference. This is why solutions often come during mundane activities: showering, driving, folding, laundry. Your conscious mind stops trying so hard, stops forcing solutions, and your unconscious mind can approach the problem from different angles, make unexpected connections, find insights that conscious effort couldn't access. The mundane task creates the mental space for breakthrough. Here is a curious thing about problem solving and attention. Trying too hard can actually make problems harder to solve. This is called functional fixedness or cognitive rigidity. When you focus intensely on a problem, you often get stuck in particular ways of thinking about it. But when you stop focusing, when you let your mind wander, you become cognitively flexible again, open to new perspectives. You're folding a pair of pajamas now, soft flannel that reminds you of comfort, of rest, of the evening routine. This triggers thoughts about sleep, about being tired, about the day winding down, about the rhythm of days and nights and the endless cycle of waking and sleeping and waking again. Your mind is making these associations automatically, following trails of connection that feel random but actually reflect the deep associative structure of your memory. Some memory researchers study spreading activation, the way thinking about one thing automatically activates related concepts in memory. Pajamas trigger thoughts of sleep, which triggers thoughts of dreams, which triggers thoughts of something you dreamed recently, which triggers thoughts of whatever that dream was about. Your mind spreads through its own networks, exploring itself, making connections you didn't consciously choose. You're also giving yourself instructions. Don't forget to start the dryer. Need to check if there's more laundry in the hamper. Should probably fold these before they wrinkle more. Where does this even go? This self-directed speech is how you manage yourself, how you keep track of tasks, how you stay organized. You're essentially being your own personal assistant, reminding yourself of what needs doing. And beneath all this verbal thinking, beneath the inner speech and the rehearsing and the planning and the problem solving, there's probably some emotional processing happening too. How you feel about your day, about your life, about yourself. These feelings might not be in words, might just be a general sense of okayness or not okayness, but they're there, being processed, being integrated, being understood at levels deeper than language. And you breathe, listening to the voice that's always been there. Fold, smooth, stack. Fold, smooth, stack. The rhythm continues, and without realizing it, you've entered a meditative state. Your breath has synchronized with your movements. Your mind, while wandering, has also become calm, less frenetic, more spacious. You're meditating without trying to meditate, achieving the very state that meditation practitioners spend years cultivating. This is accidental mindfulness, unintentional meditation, the kind of mental state that arises naturally when you're engaged in repetitive, meaningful activity. Buddhist monks talk about work, meditation, the idea that any task performed with attention and presence becomes a spiritual practice. You're not trying to be spiritual, you're just folding laundry. But the effect is the same. Some neuroscientists study meditation and find that the brain state during meditation, characterized by alpha waves, increased default mode network activity, reduced self-referential thinking, is remarkably similar to the brain state during routine tasks. You don't need to sit on a cushion with your eyes closed. You just need to fold laundry with a quiet mind. Here's a curious thing about meditation and mundane tasks. They both involve what is called non-judgmental awareness, observing your experience without getting caught up in it, without labeling it as good or bad. When you fold laundry, you're just folding. You're not judging whether folding is meaningful or worthwhile. You're just doing it. This is the essence of meditative practice. Your thoughts arise and pass. You notice them, but don't cling to them. A thought about tomorrow comes. You observe it. It passes. A memory from yesterday arises. You notice it. It fades. This is exactly what meditation teachers instruct students to do. Observe thoughts without attachment. Let them come and go like clouds passing through sky. You're doing it naturally, without instruction, because the task provides the perfect container for this kind of mental spaciousness. Some contemplative traditions emphasize one-pointed concentration, focusing attention on a single object, breath, mantra, candle flame, but other traditions emphasize open monitoring, maintaining broad receptive awareness without fixing attention on any particular object. Laundry folding is closer to open monitoring. You're aware, present, but not fixated, allowing experience to flow through consciousness without grasping. The repetitive motion creates what hypnotherapists call rhythmic induction, the way repetitive movements or sounds can induce trance states. You're not in a deep trance, but you're in a light one, a state of relaxed focus, of being present, but not effortful, of consciousness that's both here and elsewhere simultaneously. Here's a curious thing about trance in everyday life. You enter light trance states constantly throughout your day, while driving familiar routes, while showering, while walking, while doing any routine activity. These states aren't problematic. They're restorative. They give your conscious mind a break, allow unconscious processing, provide the mental rest that makes sustained conscious effort possible. You fold a towel and realize you don't remember folding the previous 3 towels. You were somewhere else mentally, operating on autopilot, and time passed without you tracking it. This is what monks call no-mind consciousness, that operates without self-consciousness, action that happens without an actor, the self temporarily forgotten in pure task performance. Some Zen teachers say the goal of meditation is to be like water, responsive but not reactive, flowing but not forced, present but not clinging. You're being like water right now, flowing through the task, responding to each item as it comes, not forcing anything, just allowing the process to unfold. Your shoulders have dropped, your jaw has unclenched, your breathing has deepened and slowed. All the physical markers of relaxation and present moment awareness are happening in your body without you consciously creating them. The task itself has guided you into this state, and your nervous system has responded appropriately, down-regulating stress systems, activating rest and digest functions. Some somatic therapists study how body influences mind and find that certain physical postures and movements naturally induce certain mental states. The gentle, repetitive movements of folding, combined with a slight forward bend of your posture, naturally promotes calmness. Your body position is telling your brain we're safe, we're at rest, we can relax. And your brain believes your body. Here is a curious thing about embodied cognition. Your mental state is always influenced by your physical state. When you're tense physically, you tend to be tense mentally. When you're relaxed physically, mental relaxation follows. Holding laundry puts your body in a relaxed position. Performing gentle movements, and your mind follows suit. You can't separate mind from body. They're one integrated system, and you breathe. It's folding consciousness into quiet presence. You're folding a shirt now, and something strange happens with the sleeves. They refuse to cooperate. One sleeve always wants to stick out at an odd angle, creating asymmetry that your brain finds mildly disturbing. Why does this bother you? It's just a sleeve. The shirt will end up wrinkled in a drawer anyway, crushed beneath other shirts, all geometry forgotten by morning. But right now, in this moment, the sleeve matters. Your hands work to tuck it under, to create the perfect rectangle, the platonic ideal of a folded shirt. You're not thinking about Play-Doh, but you're thinking about perfection, which is close enough. The ancient Greeks believed in ideal forms, perfect circles, perfect triangles, perfect versions of everything that existed only in the realm of thought. Every circle drawn in the real world was just an approximation, a shadow of the true circle. You're creating shadows right now, imperfect rectangles, proximate squares. Your towels will never achieve the crispness of department store towels folded by machines or by people who VE folded 10,000 towels and have muscle memory never develop. But you keep trying anyway. There's something meditative about repetition. Same motion over and over. Fold in half, fold in thirds, stack. The rhythm becomes automatic, and when something becomes automatic, the conscious mind is free to wander. Where does it go? Sometimes nowhere. Sometimes you achieve something rare, few seconds of actual mental silence, not thinking about the past or the future, not narrating your experience to an imaginary audience. It's folding, just being. It's just the texture of cotton against your palms and the smell of detergent and the weight of fabric. Zen monks talk about this. When walking, just walk. When eating, just eat. When folding, just fold. But it never lasts. Within seconds, the mind is back, chattering away. Did you lock the car? What's for dinner? Why did you say that stupid thing 3 years ago at that party? The mind is a monkey, the Buddhists say, swinging from branch to branch, never still. You pick up a pair of jeans. They're heavy, substantial, much harder to fold than a t-shirt. The thick denim resists your attempts at geometry. You fold them once lengthwise, then try to fold them in half, but they're too bulky. You fold them in thirds instead, creating an awkward package that will barely fit in the drawer. Why do we even fold jeans? They're designed to be crumpled, worn, softened by time and body heat. Folding them is almost insulting to their nature. But we do it anyway, because drawers demand organization. And organization demands geometry, and geometry demands right angles. Everything in your home is right angles. The room is a rectangle. The dresser is a rectangle. The drawers are rectangles inside rectangles. The laundry basket is slightly rounded, a gentle rebellion against the tyranny of corners, but even it has a flat bottom to sit on flat floors. We live in a world of right angles because right angles are efficient. They tessellate perfectly. It's no wasted space, maximum storage in minimum area. The bees know this hexagons in their hives, the most efficient use of wax and space. But we use squares because they're easier to build, easier to think about, easier to fold laundry into. You wonder, briefly, what it would be like to live in a round house. Would you fold your clothes into circles? Would your mind think different thoughts, freed from the constraints of corners? Probably not. The mind makes its own constraints, builds its own boxes, regardless of architecture. Another shirt. This one has a small stain on the collar that didn't come out in the wash. You notice it, feel a small spike of annoyance, then let it go. It's not worth rewashing. No one will see it. You'll wear it around the house. It joins the category of clothes that are unquite nice enough for going out, but are unquite ratty enough to throw away. Most of your wardrobe is in this category, if you're honest. The truly nice clothes are rarely worn. They hang in a closet, waiting for occasions that never come. And the truly ratty clothes became cleaning rags long ago. Everything else is somewhere in between good enough, but not great. It's wearable, but not special. Is this a metaphor for something? Probably. Most of your life is good enough, but not great. Most experiences are somewhere in between memorable and forgettable. Most days are neither wonderful nor terrible. This should be depressing, but somehow it's not. There's comfort in the middle ground, in the ordinary, the folding of laundry that will be worn and dirtied and washed and folded again in an endless cycle. You remember reading somewhere that Sisyphus is condemned to push a boulder up a hill for eternity, only to watch it roll back down, might actually be happy. Albert Camus wrote about this. Sisyphus, finding meaning in the struggle itself, choosing to embrace the absurdity. We must imagine Sisyphus happy. Must we imagine the laundry folder happy? You'd think yes, because if you can't find some contentment in the small, repetitive tasks, you'll spend your entire life waiting for something better, something more meaningful, something worth your time. And while you're waiting, life happens. In the folding, in the washing, in the stacking of clean clothes in neat piles. Sock. Where's his partner? You dig through the basket. They're hiding under a pillowcase. You match them together, fold them into each other, creating a small fabric bundle. Success. A completed pair. Tiny victory against entropy. The universe tends toward disorder. Everything falls apart. Heat disperses. Stars burn out. And yet, here you are, creating order, folding chaos into neat rectangles. It won't last by next week. This basket will be full again, but it doesn't have to last. It just has to be done now. You're almost finished. The basket is nearly empty. A few more items, a towel, a washcloth, a t-shirt with a faded logo from a concert you went 2 years ago. You remembered that night, hazily. The music was too loud, the crowd was hot and pressed together. You were younger. You were someone slightly different than who you are now. That shirt has been washed 100 times since then. Every wash removes a few more molecules of fabric, a little more color. Eventually, it will be too worn to keep, but not yet. Not today. Today, it gets folded, placed on the pile with the others, carried to the bedroom, put away in a drawer. Tomorrow or the next day, you'll wear it again, and eventually, you'll wash it again. And then, you'll fold it again, here in this room, with your mind wandering through thoughts you can't control and don't fully understand. The last item, a fitted sheet. You pause. Everyone knows fitted sheets are impossible to fold properly. The elastic corners create weird pockets that refuse to lay flat. You do your best, folding it into something approximately rectangular, knowing it will never look right, accepting this limitation. Some things can't be perfected. Some geometry resists order, and that's okay. You pick up the full basket of folded laundry and carry it to the bedroom, feeling a small sense of accomplishment that will last approximately 12 seconds before your mind moves on to the next thing. You're putting clothes away now, and something falls out of a pocket. A receipt. You pick it up from the floor and look at it before throwing it away. Coffee shop. 2 days ago. already fading, the thermal paper turning gray at the edges. Okay. In 50 years, this receipt will be completely blank. Thermal paper doesn't last. Future archaeologists digging through our landfills will find these little slips of paper with nothing on them, ghosts of transactions, evidence of purchases that can no longer be proven. What else is in these pockets? You check another pair of jeans before putting them in the drawer. A tissue, fortunately unused. A guitar pick. You don't play guitar, so how did that get there? Caney, sticky with something unidentifiable. The accumulated detritus of daily life. Pockets are strange things, little portable storage spaces sewn into our clothing. We fill them without thinking, empty them sporadically, and occasionally wash them full of forgotten items that make horrible noises in the dryer. Women's clothing famously has fake pockets or absurdly small ones. This is a design choice that makes no sense until you realize it's about silhouettes, about the lines of the clothing not being disrupted by bulky pockets full of phones and wallets and keys. Fashion over function, always. Men's clothing has pockets everywhere. Pants pockets, shirt pockets, jacket pockets, sometimes multiple pockets inside and outside. Cargo shorts with pockets on the legs that can hold entire paperback books. You don't wear cargo shorts anymore. You did in high school that were practical. But at some point, society collectively decided cargo shorts were uncool, and you went along with it, choosing style over storage capacity. This is how culture works. It's invisible rules that everyone follows without quite knowing why. You think about what's in your pockets right now. Even though you're at home and not wearing these jeans. Phone, wallet, keys, the holy trinity of modern life. Without these three items, you feel unmoored, anxious, patting your pockets repeatedly to make sure they're still there. Humans used to carry much different things. Flint for fire, a knife for cutting, a small amount of food. The essentials haven't changed. We still need tools, identification, and sustenance, but the forms have transformed. Your phone is your knife, your fire, your food, your everything. Sometimes you fantasize about a simpler life, living in the woods. No phone, no wallet, no keys, because there are no locks. It's just you and nature in the immediate present moment. But you know this fantasy is bullshit. You'd miss climate control within about 6 hours. You'd miss coffee within 12. You'd miss the internet within a day. And you definitely miss laundry machines, because washing clothes by hand in a river is actually miserable work that people only do when they have no other choice. You're spoiled. You know this, right? Every human living in a developed country in the 21st century is absurdly spoiled compared to 99% of all humans who have ever lived. You have hot water that comes out of a wall. You have food that requires no hunting or gathering. You have clothes that require no weaving or sewing. And yet, you're not happier than your ancestors. Probably less happy, actually. They had community. They had purpose. They had the satisfaction of making things with their hands and seeing immediate results. You have a job that produces nothing tangible. You sit at a computer and move information around. At the end of the day, what have you actually done? It's hard to say. It's hard to feel proud of. But you can see folded laundry. You can see clean dishes. You can see a vacuumed floor. These small domestic tasks produce visible results, which is perhaps why they're satisfying despite being boring. Another pocket, another receipt. This one from the grocery store. You remember that shopping trip you forgot the reusable bags in the car and had to use plastic? You felt guilty about it. You always feel guilty about plastic bags, even though your personal contribution to global plastic pollution is essentially zero compared to industrial waste. But individual guilt is easier to process than systemic problems. You can control your own bag usage. You could control the fact that corporations produce millions of tons of single-use plastic and have successfully shifted the blame onto individual consumers. You throw away the receipt and feel that small guilt again. Another piece of trash. Another tiny sin against the planet. The next pocket has nothing in it. Empty, clean, ready for tomorrow's accumulation of random objects. You wonder about the person who invented pockets. Probably multiple people across multiple cultures, but someone was first. Someone looked at their clothing and thought, I need a place to carry things, and they cut a slit in the fabric and sewed a pouch inside, and humanity was changed forever. Before pockets, people carried bags, purses, pouches, on belts. When pockets were invented, they were revolutionary storage, integrated into the clothing itself. Hands-free, carrying, freedom of movement. Now, we take pockets for granted, except when they're missing. Then, we notice. Then, we're annoyed. You find more items. A hair tie, piece of lint that might have once been a napkin, small stone that's smooth and round and you have no memory of picking up, but you must have, at some point, thought it was worth keeping. You hold the stone for a moment. It's satisfying in your palm, cool and heavy. Perfectly smooth, nature's design, tumbled by water over years or decades or centuries until all the rough edges were worn away. You could keep it, put it on your dresser with other random objects, or you could throw it away. Or put it outside, return it to the earth. You put it in your pocket, your current pocket, okay, and you'll probably forget about it, and it will go through the wash. And eventually, you'll find it again during another laundry session and have this same moment of decision. Objects accumulate. That's what they do. We're not good at letting things go. The drawer is full now. All the clothes put away. The basket is empty. You could put the basket back in the bathroom, ready for the next load. Or you could carry it to the laundry room and start another load right now. Always more laundry. Always more tasks waiting. You decide to take a break. You've earned it. The laundry can wait. But can it? There's always something. Always the next thing. The dishes, the trash, the emails, the bills. Adult life is an endless series of small tasks that must be done repeatedly forever. This is depressing, but also, it's fine, because what else would you be doing? Waiting for your real life to start. So waiting for the important moments. This is your real life. Right now, putting away laundry, finding receipts in pockets, holding smooth stones, and making small decisions. This is it. This is everything. You're thinking about doing another load, which means thinking about water temperature, hot, warm, or cold. This decision feels more important than it should be. Hot water for whites and towels, cold water for colors and delicates. This is what you were taught. This is what everyone knows. But why? Hot water cleans better, presumably. It kills bacteria. It dissolves detergent more effectively, but it also fades colors, damages elastic, shrinks cotton. Hot water is aggressive. Hot water doesn't care about your favorite shirt. Cold water is gentle. It preserves. It protects. But does it actually clean? You have suspicions that cold water is just politely moving dirt around, letting your clothes sit in cool filth for 30 minutes before pretending they're fresh. Warm water is the compromise, the Switzerland of laundry temperatures. Neither here nor there. Moderately effective, moderately safe. It's a choice of people who don't want to commit. You usually choose warm. You're a warm water person, in laundry and in life. But today, you're thinking about it more than usual. Today, the water temperature feels like a metaphor for decision making. Do you go all in hot, or play it safe cold, or split the difference warm? Most of life is warm water decisions. Medium stakes, medium consequences. You won't ruin everything, but you won't optimize everything either. Hot water decisions are rare. Career changes, relationship endings, major moves. These are the high temperature moments that can clean away the old, but might damage something in the process. Cold water decisions are daily. What to eat, what to wear, whether to respond to that text message now or later. Low stakes, low energy, moving through life without much heat. You turn the dial to warm and press start. The machine begins to fill. You can hear the water rushing through pipes in the walls, traveling from the water heater in the garage to this machine in the laundry room. You've never really thought about plumbing before. Water just appears when you want it. Turn the handle, and there it is, hot or cold, as requested. Instant access to a resource that humans spent millennia hauling in buckets and jugs. Your ancestors would be amazed. They'd think you were rich beyond measure. Multiple sources of water in your home, hot and cold, available at any moment. No well to draw from, no river to walk to, no rain to collect. But you're not amazed, slightly annoyed that the hot water takes 30 seconds to actually get hot. You waste that first cold water while waiting for the heat to arrive. This feels wasteful, but not wasteful enough to actually change your behavior. You think about California droughts. You think about climate change. You think about how you should probably be doing all your laundry in cold water to save energy. You think about how you're probably not going to change, because warm water is what you're used to, and humans are creatures of habit. The machine is filling now. You watch through the glass door as water rises, covers the clothes, begins its churning. The drum rotates one way, pauses, rotates the other way. This is how cleaning happens. Agitation, friction, time. You read once that astronauts on the International Space Station can't do laundry. There's no gravity to make the water work properly, okay? They just wear their clothes until they're too disgusting, then throw them away. The dirty clothes burn up in the atmosphere during disposal, becoming shooting stars of underwear and socks. This seems wasteful, but also, space is hard. You can't carry enough water up there to be washing clothes. You have to choose clean clothes or oxygen, food or fashion. The priorities become very clear when resources are limited. Down here, on Earth, with abundant water and gravity, you take it for granted. You wash things that don't really need washing. You own more clothes than you need. You have the luxury of warm water and fabric softener and dryer sheets that make everything smell like artificial flowers. The machine has entered its wash cycle, churning, sloshing, the rhythmic sound of water and fabric. You could watch this for hours. Some people do. There are videos online of washing machines just running, just cleaning, and people watch them. Find them mesmerizing. There's something hypnotic about repetitive motion. Waves on a beach, pendulums swinging, washing machines churning. Your brain likes patterns. Your brain likes rhythm. Your brain can relax when it knows what's coming next. Life doesn't have much rhythm anymore. Used to be, humans woke with the sun and slept when it set. Ate when food was available. Worked when work needed doing. It's the rhythm of seasons, of day and night, of natural cycles. Now you wake to an alarm. Eat by the clock. Work on a schedule divorced from natural time. The only rhythm left is artificial, the beep of timers, the buzz of phones, the cycle of washing machines. You wonder what this does to the human brain, to be so separated from natural cycles, to live indoors under artificial light, to eat strawberries in December and pumpkin spice in August, to never really be cold or hot or hungry or tired in the way your ancestors were. Probably it's fine. Humans adapt. We're good at adapting, okay? We adapted to agriculture, to cities, to industrial revolutions, to digital life. We'll adapt to whatever comes next. But something is lost. Some connection to the natural world, some understanding of cycles and seasons, and the basic reality that everything takes time. The washing machine knows this. It can't rush. It has to churn for the full cycle. 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever the setting demands. No shortcuts, no instant results. It's just the patient work of water and soap and time. You leave the laundry room and do other things, but part of your mind stays with the machine, counting down the minutes until it's done, and you'll need to transfer clothes to the dryer, setting another timer, starting another cycle, continuing the endless work of staying clean in a dirty world. The dryer has buzzed. Return to find a tangled mass of warm clothes, and somewhere in there are socks. So many socks. They need to be matched, which sounds simple, but never is. You pull them out one by one, laying them on top of the dryer. Black socks, navy socks, gray socks, white socks. They all look the same until you look closely, and then they're all slightly different. This black sock is slightly longer than that black sock. This navy sock has a different texture than that navy sock. Not sure if they reappear or if you somehow acquired 24 similar bootod identical socks through years of random purchases. Okay. The matching of socks is a problem of pattern recognition. Your brain is built for this. Humans are exceptional at spotting similarities and differences. We can recognize faces in clouds, see patterns in randomness, match socks in a pile of laundry. But it's harder than it should be. Why? Because you don't pay attention when you buy socks. You just grab a package that looks roughly right. Black socks, size 10 to 13. Good enough. You don't think about the future you who will have to match these socks with the other black socks from a different package bought 6 months ago that are almost but not quite the same. You create your own problems through insufficient planning. This is true of socks. This is true of life. You find a match. Success. You fold them together, tucking one sock into the other, creating that little bundle that will somehow become separated again the next time you do laundry. The entropy of socks is unstoppable. There's a joke about the dryer eating socks. Where do missing socks go? It's a mystery that everyone experiences, but nobody solves. It's probably have 7 unmatched socks at home right now, waiting in a drawer for partners that will never return. The truth is probably boring. Socks fall behind the washing machine. They stick to other clothes with static. They get thrown away accidentally with the lint. But it's more fun to imagine a parallel universe where all the missing socks go, a dimension of eternal single socks, waiting. You wonder if socks are happy in pairs, or if they long for independence. Probably you're spending too much time alone if you're wondering about the emotional lives of socks. Another match, another bundle. You're getting into a rhythm now. Your hands move automatically, picking up a sock, scanning the pile for its partner, matching by length and thickness in the particular way the elastic sits. This is a skill you never thought you'd develop. Nobody dreams of becoming an expert sock matcher. Nobody lists it on their resume, and yet here you are, years of practice, making you efficient at this small, useless talent. Most of your skills are like this: small, domestic, unremarkable. You can make decent scrambled eggs. You can parallel park on the first try most of the time. Can remember where you put things about 70% of the time. These aren't the skills you imagined developing when you were young. You were going to be special, talented, known for something. Instead, you were competent at laundry and pretty good at loading the dishwasher and occasionally successful at keeping plants alive. This is adulthood. It's a slow realization that most of life is maintenance, keeping things running, preventing decay, matching socks. You find a white sock with no partner. You check the pile twice. Nothing. This sock is alone now. You have 2 choices. Keep it in hope that its partner will turn up eventually, or throw it away and accept the loss. You keep it. You're an optimist about socks, if nothing else. The pile is shrinking. You're making progress. Black pair, gray pair, another black pair that's slightly different from the first black pair. Why do you own so many black socks? They seemed like a good ideal matching. No need to pair them carefully, but it turns out there are infinite shades of black and infinite variations of sock construction. Your sock drawer is chaos, pretending to be order. Someone should invent better sock technology, socks that clip together in the wash so they can't separate, or socks with RFID chips that beep when their partner is nearby, or just normalize mismatched socks so nobody has to do this matching dance ever again. Actually, some people do wear mismatched socks, deliberately, as a statement. You're not sure what the statement is. I'm quirky. I'm above such petty concerns as matching. I've given up. It's a choice some people make. You're not ready for that level of chaos. You still need the small sense of control that comes from matched socks, even if nobody sees them under your shoes. Even if it doesn't matter, it matters to you. This is what maturity is. Maybe caring about things that don't matter, because the act of caring is what matters. Imposing order on chaos, not because the order is important, but because the act of imposing order gives you a sense of agency in a world where you control very little. Can't control the economy or the climate or what other people think of you, okay? But you can match your socks. You can fold your laundry, okay? You can create a small zone of organization in your home that reflects the organization you wish existed in your life. Another match. The pile is almost done. Just a few stragglers left. One sock with a hole in the toe. When did that happen? You should throw it away, but instead, you set it aside to mend later. You won't mend it. You never mend things. But you'll keep it anyway, just in case. The last few socks refuse to match anything. You lay them out, hoping that proximity will somehow reveal connections you missed. It doesn't work. These are genuine singles now, unmatched and unmatchable. You gather them up and put them in a specific section of your sock drawer labeled in your mind. Hope. Maybe their partners are in the wash right now. Maybe they fell behind the dresser. Maybe they'll turn up. Probably they won't. Probably these socks are alone forever. But you're not ready to make that final decision, to throw them away and admit defeat. The matched socks go in the drawer in neat pairs, organized by color, more or less. Black socks on the left, white socks on the right, colored socks in the middle. It's a system that makes sense to you and would confuse anyone else. You close the drawer and feel that small satisfaction again. Task completed. Order restored. Entropy postponed for another week. The rest of the laundry waits. Shirts to hang, pants to fold. The work continues. But the socks are done, and that's something. You have a handful of shirts that can't go in the dryer. They'll shrink, or the fabric will peel, or the delicate print will crack. These shirts require special treatment. These shirts get hung. You pull out the drying rack from the closet where it lives, folded flat. It's one of those expandable wooden racks, accordion style, that creates temporary hanging space in whatever room you set it up in. Usually the bedroom. Sometimes the bathroom, if you just showered and the humidity is high and you want to take advantage of the steam. The rack unfolds with a creaking sound. The wood is old, slightly loose at the joints. You've had this rack for years. It came from a previous apartment, or maybe the apartment before that. It's followed you through several moves, always useful, never decorative enough to keep permanently set up. You drape the first shirt over one of the wooden slats. It's a button-up shirt, dark blue, the kind you wear to look slightly more professional than a t-shirt, but not as formal as actual business attire. The shirt hangs there, damp and heavy, dripping slightly onto the towel you've placed underneath. Hanging shirts is tedious. It takes time. The dryer would be faster, but the dryer would also ruin these particular garments. So here you are, manually draping fabric over wood and waiting for air to do its work. Humans didn't always have dryers. For most of history, all laundry was air-dried, hung on lines outside, draped over bushes, laid flat on rocks in the sun. The process took hours or days, depending on humidity and weather. Laundry was a major time investment. Now, you're annoyed that this small batch of shirts will take a few hours to dry. Your patience has shrunk with your drying times. It's been spoiled by machines that do in 40 minutes what used to take all day. Another shirt. One is cotton, thin and soft from many washings. You bought it on a trip somewhere. Was it Portland? Seattle? And you remember liking it in the store, but you've never quite figured out when to wear it. Too casual for work. It's too nice for lounging at home. It occupies the strange middle ground of clothes I own but rarely wear. Most of your wardrobe is like this, actually. Items purchased with optimism about future occasions, that never quite materialize. The shirt you'll wear to that party you'll get invited to. The pants you'll wear when you finally get around to going to nicer restaurants. The jacket for weekend adventures you'll take someday. Instead, you wear the same 7 comfortable items on rotation, and the rest of your closet serves as a museum of hopeful alternate lives. You hang the shirt anyway. Maybe this will be the week you wear it. Probably not. The drying rack is filling up. Each shirt gets its own space. You won't overlap them too much, or the parts that are touching, you'll dry properly. This is an art you've learned through experience. Too many items crammed together equals mildew smell. You've made that mistake before. There's something peaceful about this process though. The repetition, the quiet. It's just you in these damp shirts and the gentle sound of water dripping onto the towel. In another era, this would be communal. Women gathered at the river to wash clothes, talking and gossiping and sharing the work. Laundry day was a social event, a chance to connect, to share news, to break the isolation of domestic life. Now, you do laundry alone, in a room by yourself, with a machine that does most of the work. It's efficient, it's private, it's lonely. You miss things you've never experienced. You have nostalgia for a past that wasn't even yours. The idea of community laundry day sounds nice, but the reality was probably cold water and aching backs and clothes that never really got clean. Still, the talking part would have been nice. Did you hang another shirt? This one is white, or used to be white. Now it's more of an off-white, a grayish cream color that comes from being washed with colors despite your best efforts at laundry segregation. White clothes never stay white. They absorb the world around them, becoming gradually dingy, gradually darker, until they cross the threshold into not white enough to wear with white pants. This shirt has crossed that threshold, but you keep it anyway because it's still functional, still comfortable. And throwing away clothes that are perfectly wearable feels wasteful, even though your closet is overfull and you obviously do need this shirt. You have a complicated relationship with stuff. You don't want to be a hoarder, but you also don't want to be wasteful. You want to live lightly, but you also want to have things. The contradictions pile up in your closet, along with the clothes. Minimalism is trendy now. Capsule wardrobes, owning fewer but better things. You've read articles about people who own only 33 items of clothing and feel liberated by the simplicity. You tried this once. You got rid of bags of clothes. You felt virtuous for about a week. Then you needed something specific, a particular type of jacket, specific color of shirt, and you did unhave it because you de-donated it in your minimalist purge, and you had to go buy a replacement. So now you're back to having too many clothes. Not extreme, you're not drowning in stuff, but more than you need, more than is sufficient, more than makes sense, but less than feels comfortable. So here you are in the middle ground again, hanging shirts you rarely wear because you might need them someday. The last shirt goes on the rack. You step back and survey your work. A row of damp shirts hanging like flags of surrender to the endless war against dirt and disorder. They'll dry overnight. By tomorrow, they'll be ready to wear or return to the closet to wait for their next deployment. And eventually, they'll be dirty again, and you'll wash them again and hang them again, and the cycle continues. Everything is cycles. The water cycle, the carbon cycle, the laundry cycle, matter and energy transforming and returning and transforming again. Nothing is ever really clean or dirty. It's all just molecules rearranging themselves, temporarily ordered before returning to chaos. You leave the shirts to dry and move on to the next task. There's always a next task. The work of living never ends until the living ends, and even then, someone else has to wash your last load of laundry. Cheerful thought. You're inspecting the shirt you pulled from the dryer, and there's a stain. Small one, barely noticeable, but you notice it because you're reholding the shirt up to fold it, and the light catches it just right. The stain is roughly circular, slightly darker than the surrounding fabric, located near the bottom hem, where it might have brushed against something. You have no memory of how it got there. You don't remember spilling anything. You don't remember any incidents that would explain this mark. But here it is. K, a permanent record of some forgotten moment. Evidence of an event that left no other trace in your memory. This bothers you more than it should. The stain is small. Nobody will notice it but you. But you know it's there, and knowing changes the shirt. It's no longer clean. It's no longer perfect. It's compromised. You consider rewashing it, but you know from experience that if a stain made it through the wash and the dryer, it's probably permanent. The heat of the dryer sets stains, bakes them into the fabric at a molecular level. The shirt and the stain are one now, inseparable. This is true of a lot of things, actions that can't be undone, words that can't be unsaid, mistakes that become permanent parts of your story. You can try to fix them, but sometimes the fixing just makes it worse. Like using a stain remover pen that leaves a different kind of mark, or bleaching a stain and ending up with a spot that's lighter than the rest of the fabric, equally noticeable. Some stains have history. Red wine from a dinner party 3 years ago, coffee from that morning you were running late, grass from the one time you sat on the ground at a park. Each stain is a memory, whether you remember it or not. Other stains are mysterious. Where did this come from? What even is this? The unknown stains are almost worse than the known ones because they suggest a lack of awareness, a failure to notice what was happening in your own life. You fold the shirt with the stain and add it to the pile. You'll keep wearing it. It's not stained enough to relegate to the only wear-at-home category. It's still presentable, still functional, just slightly imperfect, like everything else. You pull out another item and check it for stains before folding. Nothing. This one is clean, or clean enough. Under a microscope, nothing is ever truly clean. There are always bacteria, always particles, always traces of the world clinging to fabric. But you can't think about that, or you'll never feel comfortable wearing anything. You remember learning in school about how humans are covered in microscopic creatures. Mites living in your eyebrows, bacteria covering every surface of your skin. You are not one organism, but a colony, a walking ecosystem of life forms coexisting in various degrees of symbiosis. This was horrifying at age 12. It's less horrifying now, but only because you've learned not to think about it. It's ignorance as a coping mechanism. Another shirt, another check for stains. A tiny spot near the collar, is that a stain or just a shadow? You hold it up to the light. Shadow, you're relieved, out of proportion to the significance. It's just a shirt. Stains happen, but you want your clothes to be perfect, even though perfection is impossible and wouldn't matter anyway. This is human nature, the pursuit of perfection in things that don't require it. Clean clothes, organized drawers, perfectly made beds that will be unmade in 12 hours. You create order and standards and rules for yourself that nobody else cares about. But you care. And so you check for stains and refold shirts that aren't folded quite right and arrange things in your drawers with more care than they deserve. You find a real stain now. One is on a t-shirt, located right at chest level, where you definitely spilled something while eating. K. The stain is yellowish, oil-based, probably exactly the kind that never comes out. K's shirt is old anyway, soft from countless washings. The print on the front has mostly flaked away. It's reached the end of its presentable life. This stain is just the final mark, the thing that pushes it over the edge from slightly worn to definitely worn out. You should throw it away. You won't. You'll keep it for wearing around the house, for sleeping in, for those days when you're not going anywhere and nobody will see you. The shirt will continue its slow decline until it develops holes or becomes too shabby even for home use. This is how everything ends, gradually, quietly, not with a dramatic finish, but with a slow accumulation of small damages until the thing is no longer itself. Your car is like this, your furniture, your relationships, sometimes. Nothing breaks all at once. Everything wears down bit by bit, stain by stain, till one day you realize it's over and you can't pinpoint exactly when it ended. You fold the stained shirt and put it on a separate pile. The house clothes pile, the given up pile, the pile of things that have earned their rest. The next several items are fine. No stains, no damage, just normal clothes in normal condition that will be worn and washed and worn again until they too join the declining ranks. You wonder what future archaeologists will think of our clothing. Cotton blended with polyester, designed to last just long enough to be worn a few dozen times before looking shabby. Planned obsolescence in shirt form. We don't make things to last anymore. We make things to be replaced. Your grandparents had clothes that lasted decades. They bought fewer items, but better quality. They mended things. They cared for things. They had a relationship with their possessions that you don't have. You buy things and discard things and buy replacements, and the cycle continues. Fast fashion, disposable culture, everything temporary, a thing precious. Except somehow you still can't throw away a stained shirt. You still fold your laundry carefully. You still care, even while living in a culture of not caring. The contradictions are exhausting. You finish checking for stains and move on with the folding. Most items passed inspection. Most items will continue their service. And the ones that didn't, well, they'll be demoted, but not discarded. Given new roles in the household hierarchy. Still useful, just differently. Everything has its place. Everything has its purpose. And the stained and imperfect things, especially them, maybe. You're folding towels now, and they're heavy, heavier than you expected when you pulled them from the dryer. Cotton holds water even after the drying cycle, containing some essential dampness that only disappears after hours of sitting in the linen closet. Why are towels so heavy? You lift one up each towel, oversized and thick-end. It must weigh 2 or 3 pounds. That's pounds of cotton, plural, just for drying off after a shower. This seems excessive when you think about it. But you don't think about it, usually. Okay, you just grab a towel, use it, throw it in the laundry basket when it starts to smell. The towel is a tool, not an object of contemplation. Except right now, holding it, feeling its weight, you're contemplating. Humans used to dry themselves with linen. For that, probably just air drying or rough cloth. The concept of a soft, absorbent towel is relatively recent in the scope of human history. Another luxury you take for granted. You fold the towel in half, then in half again, then in thirds. This is the standard towel fold, the one that makes it fit in the closet shelf. You don't remember who taught you this fold. Maybe your mother. Maybe you figured it out yourself. Either way, it's automatic now. The towel joins the stack. You reach for another. One is lighter, hand towel, thin from years of use. The color has faded from burgundy to a dusty rose. The hem is coming loose on one corner. This towel has served faithfully for maybe a decade. How many times has it been washed? Hundreds? Thousands. Every wash removes a little material. The towel is slowly disappearing, atom by atom, down the drain and into the water system, and eventually into the ocean, where all water eventually goes. In 1,000 years, this towel will be completely dispersed. In 10,000 years, there will be no molecular trace that it ever existed. Everything is temporary. Everything is dissolving. You're dissolving too, just slower than the towel. You fold it and add it to the stack. Another towel. This one is new, or newish. If you bought it 6 months ago, when you decided your towels were too old and you needed to upgrade. This towel is thick and plush, the kind you see in hotel bathrooms, and think this is how towels should be. But it's not actually better. It's heavier, harder to fold, takes longer to dry, and after 6 months, it's already showing signs of wear. The plushness is matting down. The edges are fraying slightly, In another year, it will look just like your old towels. You paid 3 times as much for this towel. Was it worth it? It's 6 months of feeling slightly more luxurious after showers. Maybe, maybe not. You'll never know for sure because you can't run the counterfactual experiment. You unlive the parallel life where you did unbuy the expensive towel and see if you were equally happy. All you have is this life, this timeline, this set of choices, made and not made, and this expensive towel that's already wearing out. The stack of towels grows. Pad towels on the bottom, hand towels in the middle, washcloths on top. A hierarchy of size and function. Order imposed on chaos. If you think about hotels and how they do laundry, industrial machines, industrial quantities. Hundreds of towels per day, washed and dried and folded by people whose entire job is managing linens. You've never thought about these people before, but they exist. Somewhere in every city, there are industrial laundries processing the towels and sheets of hotels and hospitals and restaurants. It's a whole economy you never see. Background labor that makes your comfortable life possible. People washing towels so you can dry off. People cooking food so you can eat. People building phones so you can scroll mindlessly. Everything connects. Everyone's labor supports everyone else's life. You fold another towel and feel briefly grateful to whoever made it. Someone in a factory somewhere, probably in Asia, probably for wages you'd consider unacceptable. They touched this fabric, they assembled it, they packaged it. It traveled across oceans to get to the store where you bought it without thinking about any of this. Global capitalism is amazing and horrifying. You can buy a towel for $10 that traveled 10,000 miles and was made by hands you'll never see. The logistics are miraculous. The labor conditions are probably terrible. Both things are true. You don't know what to do with this knowledge except fold the towel and put it away. The next towel is dark blue, almost navy. You bought this specifically because you'd read that dark colors don't show stains as much as light colors. This is true. What you didn't consider is that dark colors show lint more than light colors. And now, this dark blue towel is covered in light-colored fuzz from washing it with the light towels. You try to pick off the lint, but it's embedded in the fabric. You'll need to use one of those lint rollers, which you may or may not own, which may or may not be somewhere in the house with some sticky paper still left on it. Probably you'll just use the towel as and ignore the lint. Nobody's inspecting your towels. Nobody cares. It's just you, right now, noticing and judging and finding yourself slightly wanting. The judgment is internal but constant. You judge your towels, your laundry habits, your consumer choices, your life. Nobody else is doing this. Nobody else is thinking about your towels at all. But you can't stop evaluating, comparing, finding gaps between the ideal and the real. This is exhausting. This is what anxiety is. The constant low-level evaluation of everything. The sense that nothing is quite good enough, that you're not doing it right. Whatever it is, you fold the linty towel and add it to the stack. It's fine. The towels are fine. Everything is fine. Another towel, another fold, another addition to the stack. You're in a rhythm now. Your hands know what to do. Fold in half. Fold in half. Fold in thirds. Stack. Repeat. The mind wanders while the body works. You think about the linen closet where these towels will go. It's overfull. You have too many towels. You only use 3 or 4 regularly, but you own maybe 20. Why? In case of guests, you rarely have guests. In case of emergencies, what towel emergency are you preparing for? You keep them because getting rid of things is harder than keeping things, because towels seem important, necessary, the kind of thing a functional adult should have in quantity, because your mother had a full linen closet, and so you need a full linen closet. You're repeating patterns from your childhood without examining whether they make sense. This is most of adult life, actually, unconsciously mimicking what you saw growing up, good or bad, functional or not. The last towel. You fold it and place it on top of the stack. Done. The stack is tall now, maybe 2 feet high, heavy with clean cotton. You pick it up carefully, carrying it with both hands, heading toward the linen closet. The closet is indeed overfull. You have to shove the stack in, rearranging other towels to make space. Some towels fall out. You pick them up and shove them back in. This is not a sustainable system, but you're not going to deal with it right now. Right now, you're just going to close the closet door and pretend everything is organized. The towels are clean. The towels are folded. The towels are put away. Mission accomplished. The fact that the closet is chaos behind the closed door is a problem for future you. Present you has done enough. Present you is tired of folding. You close the door and walk away, leaving the towels to sit in their compressed space, slowly air drying, waiting for their next use. You can hear the washing machine from the other room. It's entered the spin cycle, which means it's almost done. The sound is loud and rhythmic, a mechanical heartbeat, slightly off balance, so there's a wobbling quality to the rotation. You should probably check if the machine is level. The wobbling suggests it's not, which can damage the machine over time, wear out the bearings, create problems. But checking would require pulling the machine away from the wall, adjusting the feet, testing, adjusting again. It's a whole project. So you let it wobble. You've been letting it wobble for months, maybe a year. Each wash cycle, it shakes a little, but the floor vibrates. Anything sitting on top of the machine slowly migrates toward the edge until you notice and push it back. This is fine. Probably fine. It hasn't broken yet. The sound changes. The spin cycle is winding down, the rotation slowing. The wobble becomes more pronounced as it loses momentum, like a spinning coin in its final rotations before falling flat. Then, silence. The cycle is complete. You need to get up and transfer the clothes to the dryer before they sit too long and start to smell like mildew. But you don't get up immediately. You're comfortable where you are. The clothes can wait a few more minutes. They're not going anywhere. This is how procrastination works. It's not refusing to do the task, just deferring it slightly, and then slightly more. It's potting, and then the clothes have been sitting for an hour, and they definitely need to be rewashed because they smell like mildew and you've created more work for yourself. You've done this before, you'll probably do it again. The knowledge doesn't prevent the behavior. The machine beeps. It's a helpful reminder, a little electronic chirp that says, pay attention to me now. Modern machines do this. Older machines just stopped, and you had to remember to check on them. Now the machine calls for you like a child or a pet. You appreciate this feature even as you find it slightly annoying. You don't like being told what to do, even by appliances. Even when the appliance is right. You get up. You walk to the laundry room. The machine sits there, inert now, its work completed. You open the door, and the smell of clean laundry hits you. Detergent and nothing. The smell of absence. Really? The smell of things that don't smell. The clothes are damp and cold. The spin cycle removed most of the water, but they're still wet enough to be uncomfortable to touch. You pull them out in handfuls, transferring them to the dryer, trying not to drop anything. Something falls on the floor. Sock, of course. Socks are escape artists. Take every opportunity to flee. You pick it up and throw it in the dryer with the rest. The dryer is now full, stuffed with damp clothes, ready for the next phase of the process. You add a dryer sheet. This is unnecessary. Your detergent already has fabric softener, but you like the extra scent. The chemical approximation of fresh linen or spring rain or whatever fiction the dryer sheet manufacturer has printed on the box. Nothing smells like spring rain. Spring rain smells like petrichor, like ozone, like wet earth. Dryer sheets smell like dryer sheets. You use them anyway, because laundry that smells strongly of fake flowers is somehow more appealing than laundry that smells like nothing. Humans are strange. You are strange. You close the dryer door and turn the dial. The machine starts with a rumble, the drum beginning its rotation. the sound of fabric tumbling, the blast of hot air. The dryer is louder than the washing machine, more aggressive in its approach. The washing machine is patient. It churns, it soaks, it waits. The dryer is impatient. It blasts and tumbles and demands the water leave immediately. It's both get the job done, just with different philosophies. You start another wash load. The machine is empty now, ready for more. You could take a break, but if you keep going, you can get all the laundry done today. Finish the task, free up tomorrow for other things. Or you could do it tomorrow. Nothing requires all the laundry to be done today. This is a self-imposed deadline, a rule you're following for no good reason, except that starting means you might as well finish. You grab another basket of dirty clothes and start loading the machine. Darks this time. Jeans, black t-shirts, navy sweatshirts. You check the pockets as you load. A receipt, some change, a piece of gum still in the wrapper. The gum goes on top of the machine to throw away later. The change goes there too. You'll collect it eventually. Add it to the jar of random coins that you never use, because who uses coins anymore? But you can't throw money away, even small amounts, even though keeping it is functionally the same as throwing it away. The machine is loaded. You add detergent, set the dial, press start. The water begins to flow. The cycle begins again. The washing machine fills while the dryer tumbles, both machines running at once. This is peak laundry efficiency. This is you being productive, getting things done. You should feel accomplished. Mostly, you feel tired. The sound of both machines creates a kind of white noise, a drone that fills the house. It's not unpleasant. It's the sound of work being done without you having to do it. Automation, progress, the future that people in the past dreamed about. You go back to the living room and sit down. The machines will run for a while. You have time. You could read, you could watch something. You could do literally anything while the machines do their work. Instead, you sit and listen. The rumble of the dryer, the slosh of the washing machine, the rhythm of domestic machinery, the soundtrack of a life being maintained. After a while, you stop hearing it. The sound becomes background, something your brain filters out as unimportant. You only notice it again when it stops, when the silence returns and alerts you that something has changed. But for now, the machines run, and you sit, and time passes. And this is the afternoon. This is your life. This is enough. The dryer has finished. You open the door and reach inside, pulling out clothes that are hot to the touch. The heat is pleasant at first, then uncomfortable. Then you get used to it, and it becomes normal temperature, and you forget clothes are ever any other way. You're looking for something, a specific shirt. You remember putting it in the wash, and you want to wear it tomorrow, and you need to make sure it's actually clean and not still stained. The shirt is blue. You remember that much? It's light blue, button up. You wore it last week and spilled something at lunch. Coffee, probably, or maybe sauce from a sandwich. The details are fuzzy, but the stain was real. You find the shirt, you hold it up to the light, searching the fabric for the telltale mark. Then near the third button, a faint shadow that might be a stain or might be nothing. You look closer. It's definitely something, lighter than it was, but still there. The wash removed most of it, but not all. Okay, the stain has been reduced, but not eliminated. It exists in a liminal state between stained and unstained. Do you wear this shirt? Do you rewash it? Do you retire it to the house clothes category? This is the kind of decision that shouldn't require thought, but somehow does. It's just a shirt. It's just a small mark. Nobody will notice except you. But you'll know it's there, and knowing will make you self-conscious every time you wear it. Stains are hierarchical. Some are acceptable, the kind of wear that proves you actually live in your clothes. Others are unacceptable, the kind that suggests carelessness or poverty, or both. The line between these categories is arbitrary, but you feel it intensely. This stain is borderline. In the right light, it's invisible. In direct sunlight, it's obvious. This means you can wear the shirt on cloudy days, indoors, in dimly lit restaurants, but not to anything important. Not to meetings or dates or events where you'll be photographed. The shirt has been demoted. Not all the way down, but down a tier in the hierarchy of acceptable clothing. This happens gradually to all clothes. They start at peak presentability and slowly decline through various stages until they read threadbare and stained and relegated to the absolute bottom tier of only wear while painting or cleaning. You fold the shirt and add it to the appropriate pile. Okay? Not the nice clothes pile, but not the giving up pile either. The middle pile. Okay? The acceptable for daily life pile. Another item from the dryer. A pair of jeans. You check them out of habit, even though jeans rarely stain in obvious ways. They fade and wear and develop holes at the knees, but they don't show spills the way lighter fabrics do. These jeans are in good shape. The denim is still dark. No holes, no excessive fading. They're maybe a year old, still in the prime of their life cycle. In another 2 years, they'll be perfectly broken in, soft and comfortable. In 5 years, they'll be worn enough to look good, but not so worn that they look sloppy. Jeans have a longer lifespan than most clothes. People keep jeans for decades. They become better with age, unlike shirts and towels that deteriorate. You fold them and set them aside. The dryer is half empty now. You pull out more items, checking each one with varying degrees of attention. A t-shirt fine, another t-shirt small hole near the hem that you hadn't noticed before. Underwear, you don't inspect underwear closely. It's underwear. As long as it's clean and intact, that's sufficient. A pillowcase. You forgot you washed this. It's cream colored, or was cream colored. Now, more of a dingy beige. Pillowcases stain in a specific way from your face, from your hair products, from the oils your skin produces during sleep. The staining is gradual and inevitable. You could bleach it, restore the original color, but bleach weakens fabric, and this pillowcase is already thin. Better to accept the aging. Use it until it wears through. Replace it when necessary. Everything is a calculation. Effort versus benefit. Cost versus outcome. You're constantly making these small economic decisions about household goods, weighing options you never consciously think about. More clothes, more folding. The pile grows. You find a dish towel that somehow got mixed in with the regular laundry. This happens sometimes. Things migrate between categories. The dish towel has stains that are definitely not coming out. Oil, probably. Once oil sets into fabric, it's permanent. The molecules bond at a level that household laundry can't break. Kate, dish towel doesn't care. Dish towels are utilitarian, supposed to get dirty. Stained dish towel is a dish towel that's fulfilling its purpose, okay? Unlike clothing stains, which suggest failure, dish towel stains suggest use, functionality. A life well lived. You fold it and set it in a separate pile from the clothes. It will return to the kitchen, to its hook near the sink, to resume its work of drying dishes and wiping counters and absorbing the small spills of daily life. The dryer is nearly empty. Just a few more items. A sock without a partner. This will join the growing collection of orphan socks in your drawer. A washcloth, scratchy from minerals in the water. A hand towel that's developed a musty smell despite being washed. The musty smell is a problem. This means mildew has taken hold at a microscopic level. You can wash this towel 100 times and the smell will return as soon as it gets damp. The towel is compromised. The towel is dying. You should throw it away. You'll probably give it one more wash cycle, maybe with some vinegar, maybe with extra hot water, hoping to kill whatever is causing the smell. You'll probably fail. You'll probably keep the towel anyway, using it less frequently, pretending it's fine. This is how you treat most problems. Not directly, not decisively. It's just sort of working around them until they resolve themselves or become unbearable enough to actually address. The dryer is empty. Slam the door shut and gather the piles of folded laundry. Everything is warm, freshly dried, temporarily perfect. In a few days, these clothes will be worn and dirty and back in the laundry basket. Right now, in this moment, they're clean, and that's enough. You're putting clothes away in your dresser, and you pick up a t-shirt that stops you mid-motion. It's gray, soft, unremarkable to anyone else. But you bought this shirt on a specific day in a specific city during a specific period of your life that feels both recent and impossibly distant. Was it 5 years ago? 6? Okay, the shirt has survived this long, which surprises you. Most t-shirts don't make it past 3 years before they develop holes, or the fabric gets too thin, or they just look too worn to keep wearing in public. This one has held up. The print on the front is faded, but still visible. You remember buying it in that little shop near the waterfront, the one that sold local artist designs and overpriced coffee. You were there with someone. Who was it? A friend? A date? The memory is fuzzy around the edges, incomplete. But the shirt remembers in its way. The fabric holds the shape of your body from repeated wearing. It knows your shoulders, your torso, the way you move. Clothes adapt to their owners over time, becoming personalized in ways that new clothes never are. This is why borrowed clothes feel wrong. They're shaped for someone else's body, someone else's movements. They carry someone else's history in their fibers. You fold the shirt and place it in the drawer, on top of the other shirts, where you'll see it first next time you need something to wear. This is a small act of preference, of choosing to keep this particular memory close. Most of your clothes have no stories, okay? They were bought online or at a generic store during a generic shopping trip, okay? They serve their function and nothing more, okay? But this shirt and a few others like it carry moments you'd otherwise forget. Fabric as memory storage, clothing as autobiography. Your closet is a timeline of your life, if you know how to read it. You pull out another item to put away, sweatshirt, navy blue, hood slightly stretched out from years of being pulled over your head. This one you got in college. You're sure of this because the logo is for a campus event you attended freshman year. That was more than a decade ago. This sweatshirt is old enough that keeping it is either nostalgic or pathetic, depending on your perspective. It doesn't fit quite right anymore. You've changed shape slightly, added or lost weight in different configurations over the years, and the sweatshirt remembers the person you were, not the person you are. But it's comfortable. The cotton is soft from countless washings. The elastic still has some life in it, and when you wear it, you feel like that younger version of yourself, the one who had more hope and less knowledge, who thought life would unfold in certain predictable ways that turned out to be completely wrong. You're not that person anymore, okay? But the sweatshirt doesn't know that. You fold it and place it in the drawer underneath the other items. You don't wear it often. When you do, it's usually on days when you're not leaving the house, when you want to feel comfortable and don't care how you look. More clothes, more memories, or absence of memories. A shirt you bought last month that you've barely worn. A pair of pajama pants with a pattern you regret purchasing, but they re-functional, so you keep them. A tank top from some promotional event you don't even remember attending. Your dresser is an archaeological site. Different layers representing different eras. It's the newer stuff on top, the older stuff buried beneath, rarely disturbed except during the seasonal clothing swap when you move the shorts down and bring the sweaters up. You wonder what would happen if someone went through your clothes after you died. Would they be able to piece together who you were from these items? Would they see the pattern, the predominance of dark colors, the avoidance of anything too flashy or attention-seeking, the comfort over style preference? Probably they'd just see a bunch of old clothes and donate most of it. Maybe keep 1 or 2 items as mementos. The rest would go to a thrift store where other people would buy your clothes and wear them without knowing anything about you, about the body that shaped them, about the life they witnessed. This is the afterlife of clothing. It's multiple owners across years or decades. A shirt might be worn by 5 different people in its lifetime, each one thinking of it as theirs, none of them knowing the full history. You're probably wearing clothes right now that belonged to someone else once. Statistically, at least some of your wardrobe came from thrift stores or hand-me-downs. And even the new clothes The cotton was grown in one country, spun into thread in another, woven into fabric in a third, cut and sewn in a fourth. Dozens of hands touched these clothes before they ever reached you. Nothing is really yours. You're just the current custodian, the temporary keeper of these fabric rectangles until they move on to their next destination. The drawer is getting full. You're trying to fit more clothes than the space was designed to hold. You push down on the stack, compressing everything, forcing the drawer closed. It catches slightly, resists, then slides shut with effort. This is how you live. Slightly too much stuff in slightly too little space. Not quite organized. Not quite chaos. Somewhere in between. Another drawer. This one for pants and shorts. You fold the jeans carefully. They're heavier and take up more space. Shorts can be folded more casually. Okay? Nobody sees the folding job. Only the final product of whether the clothing looks wrinkled when you put it on. A pair of pants you haven't worn in a year. They're still in good condition, still fit, still technically wearable, but you never reach for them. They're the wrong cut, or the wrong color, or just not quite right in some indefinable way. They exist in your wardrobe as a monument to a purchasing mistake, taking up space until you finally admit defeat and donate them. But not today. Today, you fold them and put them back in the drawer, giving them another chance, another season of being ignored. This is retail therapy in reverse. You pay money to create problems for yourself. The problem of storage, of decision fatigue, of guilt over waste. You'd be happier with fewer things, but acquiring things is easier than releasing things. The last few items go into the drawer. You arrange everything so the drawer will close properly. This requires strategy, spatial reasoning, the occasional refolding of something that's too bulky. Finally, success. The drawer closes smoothly. Everything is put away. The laundry process is complete. Stand there for a moment, looking at the closed drawers, feeling that small sense of accomplishment that comes from finishing a task. The feeling will last maybe 30 seconds before your brain moves on to thinking about the next thing that needs doing. But for now, you let yourself feel it. Done, complete, clean clothes, and clean drawers. Order temporarily imposed on the chaos of daily life. Tomorrow, you'll wear some of these clothes and begin the cycle again. But tomorrow is not now. Now is this moment, standing in front of your dresser, surrounded by fabric memories and forgotten stories, and the accumulated history of your life, stitched into cotton and polyester. Now is enough. You're hanging up a button-down shirt, and you notice one of the buttons is loose. Not falling off yet, but loose enough that you can feel it move when you touch it. The thread is coming undone, slowly but inevitably. You should sew it. You should fix this now before the button falls off and disappears into whatever dimension loose buttons inhabit. You know this. You know that if you wait, you'll be getting dressed for something important, and the button will finally detach, and you'll be late while you search for a safety pin or a different shirt. But you don't have time to sew right now. Or rather, you have time, but you don't want to spend time this way. Sewing a button is tedious. Finding the needle and thread. Threading the needle, which takes multiple attempts because your eyes aren't where they used to be. Making small, repetitive stitches. Tying off the thread. The whole process takes maybe 5 minutes, but feels like an hour. So you hang the shirt in your closet with its loose button and tell yourself you'll fix it later. Later never comes. Later is where all good intentions go to die. You think about your grandmother, who would have fixed this immediately. She kept a sewing kit in every room. She mended things as a matter of course, without thinking about it, the way you might wipe down a counter or throw away trash. Sewing was just part of life. For you, sewing is a skill you technically possess, but rarely use. You can sew a button if forced to. You've done it before. But it's not automatic, not habitual. It's a chore you avoid. This is generational shift in real time. Skills that were essential becoming obsolete. Your grandmother could sew entire garments. Your mother can do basic repairs. You can sometimes manage a button. Your children, if you have them, probably won't sew at all. Why would they? Clothes are cheap now. It's cheaper to buy a new shirt than spend an hour repairing an old one, at least in terms of dollars per hour. The economics have changed. The math doesn't support mending, but something is lost. Some connection to objects, some investment in keeping things, some understanding that not everything is disposable. You're caught between two worlds. Old enough to feel guilty about not mending, young enough to consider just buying a replacement. The guilt and the practicality pulling in opposite directions. The shirt has 6 buttons total. 5 are fine. 1 is loose. What are the odds that this specific button will fall off in the next week? Probably low. What are the odds it will eventually fall off if you don't fix it? 100%. But eventually is not now. Eventually can be dealt with. Eventually. You hang the shirt in the back of the closet where you will and be tempted to wear it until you forget about the button situation entirely. Out of sight, out of mind. This is how you handle most problems that aren't urgent. The next shirt has all its buttons intact, but you notice the buttonholes are starting to fray on one side. This is a different kind of failure. Buttons can be replaced. Buttonholes can't. Not easily. When the fabric around the buttonhole deteriorates, the shirt is done. Finished. No repair is worth the effort. This shirt is entering its final phase of life. You can wear it a while longer, but it's marked for death. The buttonhole fraying is like a terminal diagnosis. It's inevitable decline from here. You hang it up anyway. It's not dead yet. Buttons are strange inventions when you think about them. Little discs designed to slide through holes, creating a closure that's secure but easily reversible. Humans have been using buttons for thousands of years. Before zippers, before Velcro, before snaps. The button is ancient technology and largely unchanged. Buttons now work the same way they did in medieval times. Sure, the materials have changed: plastic instead of bone or horn or shell, but the fundamental design is identical. This is rare. Most things improve, evolve, get replaced by something better, but the button persists. Simple, effective, reliable. Maybe that's the best technology. Not the newest, but the good enough that never needs updating. You think about how many buttons you've buttoned in your life. Thousands, tens of thousands. Every day, multiple times. Buttons on shirts, buttons on pants, buttons on coats. The motion is so automatic, you don't even think about it till a button is missing. Then you think about it a lot. You had a coat once with a missing button. The coat was otherwise perfect, but you could unwear it because the missing button was right at chest level and the coat would unclose properly. You kept meaning to replace the button. You never did. Eventually, you donated the coat, passing the problem on to someone else, or more likely, sending it to a landfill where it will sit for 100 years with its permanent button deficit. You regret that coat. It was a good coat. It deserved better. It's more shirts to hang. You check each one for button integrity. It's defined. One has a button that's a different color than the others. You replaced it at some point with whatever spare button you could find. The mismatch is noticeable if you look closely. You never look closely. Nobody else looks closely either. Another shirt has all matching buttons, but they're sewn on poorly, probably by a machine that was having a bad day at the factory. The thread is messy. The buttons sit at slightly wrong angles. This doesn't affect function, but it bothers you aesthetically. You're noticing things you've never noticed before. The variations, the imperfections, the small failures of manufacturing and maintenance. Once you start looking, flaws are everywhere. This is true of life too. Once you start looking for problems, you'll find them. Everything is slightly wrong if you pay enough attention. Better to look at the right level of detail, close enough to catch real issues, far enough back to not get lost in minor imperfections. The shirts are hung. The button crisis is deferred. Close the closet door on the whole situation and move on to the next task. But somewhere in the back of your mind, you know that loose button is still loose, still slowly working free from its threads, still approaching the moment when it will fall and disappear and force you to make a decision about whether you care enough to fix it. You're trying to close the sock drawer and it won't shut completely. Something is blocking either sock, probably caught on the rail or bunched up against the back. You pull the drawer out and peer inside, trying to identify the obstruction. There, a rolled pair of socks has gotten wedged between the drawer and the frame. You pull them out, drop them back in the drawer properly, try again. The drawer closes about 90% of the way and then sticks. This is chronic. This drawer has never closed properly. Not since you moved into this place. Maybe not ever. The wood is slightly warped, or the rails are misaligned, or something fundamental is wrong with the drawer's construction. You could fix it. You could take the drawer completely out, sand the rails, adjust the alignment, make it work properly. This would take maybe an hour if you knew what you were doing. Probably 3 hours of frustrating trial and error, given that you don't. Or you could just live with a drawer that doesn't quite close, which is what you've been doing, which is what you'll continue doing. The drawer sticks out about half an inch. Hey, you can see the socks inside. It's not completely closed, but it's not completely open either. It exists in an in-between state that's mildly annoying, but not annoying enough to motivate action. Most of your life is like this. Things that work mostly okay. Problems that are solvable, but not urgent. Annoyances you've learned to work around rather than fix. Your shower has low water pressure. The kitchen cabinet door squeaks. The bedroom window doesn't lock properly. None of these things are critical. All of them are technically fixable. None of them will get fixed. You've made peace with imperfection. Or maybe you've just gotten lazy. It's hard to tell the difference sometimes. You push the drawer as far as it will go and decide that's good enough. You can still access the socks. The drawer isn't falling apart. It's functional, just not ideal. Good enough is a dangerous standard. It leads to accumulated mediocrity, to a life of things that sort of work in spaces that are sort of organized, in relationships that are sort of satisfying. Death by 1,000 compromises, but the alternative is exhausting. Fixing everything, optimizing everything, constantly working to make things perfect. You don't have the energy. Nobody has that much energy. At some point, you have to choose your battles. It's the sock drawer. It's not a battle worth fighting. You move on to the next drawer. This one holds underwear, and it closes fine, which seems unfair. Why does the underwear drawer work and the sock drawer doesn't? They're the same design, same dresser, same level of fill, but one cooperates and one rebels. Objects have personalities. You know this isn't true. You know objects are just objects, but it feels true. Some things in your house work well, and some things constantly malfunction, and the pattern seems almost intentional. Your toaster burns everything on setting 3, but barely warms bread on setting 2. There's no in-between. The toaster is malicious. Your vacuum cleaner works great, except it keeps clogging with hair and requires constant maintenance. The vacuum is needy. Your dresser has one drawer that won't close. The dresser is stubborn. These are anthropomorphizations. You know, you're projecting human qualities onto inanimate objects because your brain is wired to see intention everywhere. Quote, knowing this doesn't make it feel less true. You open the problematic drawer again, trying to figure out what's wrong. Maybe if you redistribute the socks, put fewer in this drawer and more in, where you don't have another sock drawer. This is the sock drawer. All the socks live here. You could fold them differently, take up less space, but you've already optimized the fold any smaller, and they become hard to pair and find. Any larger and fewer fit. You're at maximum sock efficiency given current drawer dimensions. The problem isn't the socks. The problem is the drawer, or the dresser, or the house settling and throwing off the alignment of the furniture, or something even more fundamental. The floor is uneven. The dresser is old. Entropy is winning. Everything falls apart. Everything requires maintenance. And you can't maintain everything, so you have to choose what matters. The sock drawer doesn't matter, so it stays broken. You push it closed again, or as closed as it gets, and accept defeat. The half-inch gap will remain. You'll walk past this drawer twice a day and see that it is not quite closed and feel a tiny spike of annoyance each time. But the annoyance will fade into background. You'll stop noticing. The broken thing will become normal, and normal doesn't trigger annoyance. Only change triggers annoyance. This is how you end up tolerating things you shouldn't tolerate. Jobs that drain you. Relationships that don't satisfy. Drawers that don't close. You adapt, and adaptation feels like acceptance, and acceptance feels like peace. Until one day the drawer breaks completely. Or you do. And then you have to deal with it all at once instead of in manageable pieces. But today is not that day. Today, the drawer is merely annoying, merely imperfect, merely something you notice and ignore and move past. You have other laundry to deal with, the drawers that actually close properly, other tasks that need attention. The sock drawer will wait. It's good at waiting. It's been waiting for years. You're folding underwear and you notice the elastic is wearing out on several pairs. The waistband has lost its stretch, become loose and unreliable. Some have gone crinkly. That particular texture elastic gets when it's dying no longer smooth, no longer flexible. Just a band of failure wrapped around fabric. Elastic has a lifespan. This shouldn't surprise you, but somehow it does every time. You expect elastic to be eternal, to maintain its elasticity forever. The word itself suggests endless stretch and return, stretch and return. But that's not how physics works. Every stretch causes microscopic damage. Every return is slightly less than complete. Over years, the elastic degrades until it's elastic in name only. These particular pairs are maybe 5 years old, 6. You don't remember exactly when you bought them. Underwear doesn't mark time the way other purchases do. You don't remember the day you bought underwear. You just remember suddenly having newer underwear mixed in with older underwear in your drawer. The underwear with failing elastic should be thrown away. This is obvious. Underwear has one job to stay uphand. If the elastic fails, the underwear is functionally useless, but you fold them and put them back in the drawer anyway. Why? 'Cause they're not completely dead yet. They still sort of work, most of the time, if you don't move around too much. And throwing away underwear feels wasteful when the fabric itself is fine. It's just the elastic that failed. It's just one component. If you were a different person, you might replace the elastic. People do this. There are tutorials online. You could cut out the old elastic and sew in new and extend the life of these garments by years. But you're not going to do that. You're definitely not going to do that. The amount of effort required versus the value of a pair of underwear, the math doesn't work. Our time is worth more than that. Except you're not using your time for anything more valuable. You're folding laundry and thinking about elastic. So maybe your time isn't worth as much as you think it is. The next pair has good elastic, but a small hole in an unfortunate location. So hole will only get bigger. It's physics against stress concentrations, tear propagation, failure mechanics. Once a hole starts, the fabric around it weakens and the hole expands with use. This pair is definitely done. This pair you can throw away without guilt. The hole is evidence of completion, of a life fully lived. The underwear has served its purpose and earned its rest. You set it aside in a separate pile that will eventually make its way to the trash. Probably not today, maybe tomorrow. Maybe next week, when you're finally forced to admit you're re-keeping a pile of garbage in your bedroom. More underwear, some good, some declining, some in that gray area of still wearable, but not really. You fold them all and return them to the drawer, where they mix together in a democracy of quality. The good pairs don't get special placement. The failing pairs don't get marked for removal. Everything together, equal in the drawer, if not in function. You should organize this better. You should put the good pairs on one side and the bad pairs on the other, so you naturally reach for the good ones first and extend their life. But you don't. You'll reach for whatever's on top, which is determined by whichever pairs were most recently washed, which is basically random. So the wear distributes evenly across all underwear, and they all decline together, a collective failure rather than individual deaths. This seems poetic, but it's probably just lazy. Elastic fails in other clothes too. Socks lose their elastic and fall down. Bras lose their elastic and lose support. Sweatpants lose their elastic and become unwearable, except at home, when you don't care if your pants are slowly sliding down. You have sweatpants like this. You wear them anyway. You just pull them up more often. This is fine. This is your life now. Pants that require active management. The elastic in fitted sheets fails too, which is particularly annoying because the sheet looks fine but won't stay on the bed. It pops off the corners in the middle of the night and you wake up sleeping on a mattress, the sheet bunched somewhere near your feet. You have a fitted sheet like this too. You keep using it, keep tucking it more carefully, more firmly, knowing it won't last the night, but trying anyway. Why do you keep using things that don't work? Why not just throw them away and buy replacements? Because buying replacements requires effort, requires going to a store or ordering online and waiting for delivery and dealing with packaging and making decisions about thread count and color and brand. The broken thing is already here. The broken thing is familiar. The broken thing is easier than the replacement process. So you live with failing elastic and loose waistbands and sheets that won't stay put. You adapt. You compensate if you make it work. This is most of adult life actually. It's making broken things work. Managing decline. Compensating for systems that are failing but not failed enough to require dramatic action. Your body is like this too. Little things that don't work quite right anymore. A knee that clicks. A shoulder that's tight. Vision that's slightly worse than it used to be. None of it catastrophic. All of it declining. You can't replace your elastic. You are the elastic. And you're stretching and returning, knowing that each cycle causes damage. Knowing that eventually you'll lose your elasticity and become that crinkly, unreliable version of yourself that still technically functions, but not really, but not yet. Today, you still stretch and return. Today, the elastic mostly holds. You close the underwear drawer and move on to the next thing. There's always a next thing. The work of managing decline never ends until the decline is complete. You're folding the final item from the final load. A single pillowcase, white, soft from years of use. Your hands move through the familiar motions, fold in half lengthwise, then in half again, then into thirds. The pillowcase becomes a neat rectangle that will fit perfectly in the linen closet with all the others. This is the last piece. The laundry is done. You hold the folded pillowcase for a moment, feeling its weight, which is almost nothing. Cotton and air. The illusion of substance. All day you've been folding. All day your hands have been moving through these repetitive motions, and your mind has been wandering through thoughts you didn't choose. Memories you didn't summon. Observations about buttons and elastic and the slow decline of everything. And now it's done. The baskets are empty. The machines are silent. The clean clothes are put away in their designated place, drawers and closets and shelves. Order has been restored. The chaos of dirty laundry has been transformed into the temporary peace of clean laundry. Temporary because you're already wearing clothes that will become dirty, already using towels that will need washing, already sleeping on sheets that will need changing. The cycle never actually ends. You've just reached the pause point, the brief moment of completion before it all begins again. But right now, in this moment, you're done. And that means something. You carry the pillowcase to the linen closet. The door sticks slightly when you open it, another small household failure you've learned to accommodate. You place the pillowcase on the stack with the others. They're all slightly different shades of white now, aged differently, washed different numbers of times. The stack is a timeline of pillowcases, newest on top, oldest on bottom, all serving the same function, regardless of their condition. You close the closet door. It sticks again. You don't fix it. You never fix it. The house is quiet now. The machines aren't running. You're not moving through rooms, carrying baskets and armfuls of fabric. You're just standing here, in front of a closed closet door, having completed the task that will need to be done again in a few days. This should feel meaningless. It's the pointlessness of repetitive tasks, the Sisyphean nature of housework, the endless cycle of maintaining things that will just need maintaining again. But it doesn't feel meaningless. It feels normal, human, real, because this is what life actually is. Not the big moments, not the memorable events, not the stories you'll tell later. Life is laundry. Life is checking for stains and matching socks and folding towels that will be unfolded tomorrow. Life is the things you do while you're waiting for your life to start, except your life isn't waiting. Your life is happening right now, upping the folding into sorting into small decisions about whether to keep a shirt with a loose button. You think about all the thoughts that passed through your mind today, the memories triggered by an old t-shirt, the observations about elastic and entropy, the judgments about your own habits and choices, the entire wandering meditation that happened while your hands did their work. Your mind does this. One's mind does this while washing dishes, while driving, while showering, while doing anything that's automatic enough to not require full attention. The mind wanders. The mind spirals. The mind makes connections and tells stories and worries about things and remembers things and plans things and judges things. And most of these thoughts don't matter. They don't lead anywhere. They don't solve problems or create insights. They're just thoughts, mental weather, the constant background noise of consciousness. But maybe that's okay. Maybe the mind wandering while you fold laundry is what makes you human. The ability to be in two places at once, physically, here, folding clothes, but mentally, everywhere. It's touching different times and places and ideas. Dogs don't do this. Dogs just fold laundry. If dogs folded laundry, which they don't, but you understand the point, you're a time-traveling, memory-mixing, pattern-recognizing, meaning-making creature who could unfold a simple towel without thinking about Roman bathhouses and the heat death of the universe and whether you locked the car. This is the gift and the curse of human consciousness. You can never just be. You're always also thinking about being. It's always observing yourself. It's always one step removed from direct experience. Except, sometimes, rarely, for a few seconds here and there, you do just be. Just fold. Just exist in the moment without commentary, okay? And maybe that's what you've been looking for all along. Not in meditation or mindfulness apps or weekend retreats, but here, in your laundry room, in the simple, repetitive work of maintaining your life. The Zen masters were right when folding laundry. Just fold laundry. You didn't achieve that today. You achieved about 30 seconds of it, scattered across several hours, between long stretches of mind wandering and judgment, and memory and planning. But 30 seconds is more than 0 seconds. 30 seconds of presence is 30 seconds of actually being alive, instead of thinking about being alive. Maybe next time it will be 40 seconds. Maybe eventually, after years of practice, after thousands of loads of laundry, you'll manage a full minute of just folding, just being, just existing without the commentary. Or maybe you won't. Maybe the commentary is part of the experience. Maybe the wandering mind while folding laundry is exactly what this activity is supposed to be. Not a distraction from presence, but a different kind of presence. The presence of a mind at rest, at play, freed from goals and problems to just drift through whatever thoughts arise. You leave the linen closet and walk through the house, checking that everything is where it should be. The bedroom drawers are closed, except the sock drawer, which is mostly closed. The closet has shirts hanging in neat rows. The bathroom has fresh towels on the racks. Everything is clean. Everything is ready. Everything is prepared for another cycle of use and dirtying and washing. You sit down. Finally, the work is done. Your body is tired in that pleasant way that comes from completing physical tasks. Your mind is quiet, or quieter than usual, worn out from its wandering. Outside, the day is ending. The light is changing. Time is passing, as it always does, whether you fold laundry or don't fold laundry, whether you think about elastic or don't think about elastic. And tomorrow, there will be more laundry. There's always more laundry. The work of living never ends. But right now, in this moment, you're caught up. You're done. You've reached the temporary summit of this small mountain, and you can rest here briefly before you have to start climbing again. This is enough. This has always been enough. The work and the rest and the work again. The cycle and the mindfulness and the mind wandering and the small victories of matched socks and closed drawers. This is your life. This is everyone's life, really. The mundane made profound simply by paying attention. It's the ordinary made sacred simply by being present to it, or trying to be present to it, or at least noticing when you're not present and being gentle with yourself about it. You fold one last imaginary piece of laundry in your mind. You place it carefully on the imaginary stack. You smooth it with your hands, and then you let it go. The laundry is done. You are done. Everything is exactly as it should be. 3 days later, the basket is full again. Shirts and socks and towels and all the fabric evidence of being alive. The pile waits patiently for your attention. You'll get to it tomorrow, or the next day, or when you run out of clean underwear and have no choice. For now, the basket sits there, a monument to the inevitability of things getting dirty, of work that's never truly finished, of cycles that continue whether you're ready for them or not. And somewhere in your mind, you're already folding, you're already sorting. It's already letting your thoughts wander through the landscape of memory and observation and judgment while your hands do their simple, repetitive, necessary work. This is life. This is your life. And it's time, once again, to fold the laundry.